We don't always get second chances. A lot of times, it's what we need to do now that makes all the difference. We can choose to aim for excellence or be sloppy. There is no pause or rewind in life. It is continuously playing. That's why we shouldn't waste any good opportunity. We need to take hold of the moment and make the best of it. Our dreams won't come true if we let an opportunity pass us by. We need to be the best we can be today. Overthinking and worrying often delays our actions. They are often disadvantages. There will be moments in our lives when we need to act immediately and not waste a single second. Because just like the quote says, sometimes there is no next, no timeouts, no second chances. Sometimes it's now or never.
From Malaysia to England, from Liechtenstein all the way down to the Philippines, from Agra all the way to Podium, all the roads today lead to the Hyderabad Street Circuit. For this is the final round of the Indian Racing League at the Hyderabad Street Circuit. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2022 Indian Racing League, the grand finale. My name is Samal Arora, and joining me today to talk about all the action is broadcasting royalty Sohail Chandok. Sohail, today the championship gets decided. This is the big one.
It is the big one, and I think a big welcome firstly to everyone that's come in from around the world, across India to watch the Indian Racing League kick off. We're here, it's a racing Sunday in Hyderabad, the street circuit. We've talked about this a long time. We've waited for a street circuit in India, Saumil, and I think it's a very proud day for everyone that's been involved, for everyone that's been watching this league come alive in Chennai over the last couple of weekends. And to go racing in Hyderabad here, very, very special. But I just think it may not be the most special Sunday for the local team, the Blackbirds Hyderabad, because Kochi are on the back of the Hyderabad side coming in. They were leading the charge in the championship, Hyderabad, coming into this weekend. But Godspeed Kochi, for me, are the favourites coming into this Sunday of racing.
They've got a very, very young lineup that have done incredibly well. But the big reason why Hyderabad don't look like the favourites is also that the lineup has changed, Sohail. There are big dynamic changes over there.
There are, and I think, even if Neil Jani was still here this weekend, I still would have said they needed big results. Kochi, for me, in terms of the young driver duos that they've got, very complete. I think that's sort of the future of Indian motorsport in some sense. You've got guys like Sohail Shah, fantastic to watch. Ruhan Alva has been so quick in Chennai as well. And I think when we take a look at some of the qualifying results, you'll understand why we've said that Godspeed Kochi are in the driver's seat when it comes to that title chase.
Indeed, actually, today was an action-packed day. We had qualifying one earlier this morning, and it was torrential conditions out there in qualifying one, Sohail. And mostly, all the younger drivers took part in this session.
Absolutely, and I think let's just remind everyone that the drivers that qualify in this qualifying one actually are qualifying for their teammates. So they set the grid for sprint race 2. So Nikhil Bora, unbelievable to watch. Ruhan Alva, 1-2 for Godspeed Kochi in qualifying. It was just exceptional driving skill because, as you can see on your screens, guys at home, these were not the easiest of conditions. It was not easy to be out there, as some drivers found out the hard way. It was a nice spin, though. It was an elegant spin.
After he got pole position, by the way, that was Nikhil Bora. Once he crossed the 9P1, he celebrated, pumped his hands up in the air and ended up making that mistake. But it didn't matter. He's got scored pole position in the bag. And that's the important point for the Godspeed Kochi team. So, in a bit, let's actually take a look at the overall results. What was the entire lineup like? So, let's take a quick look. We saw pole position for Godspeed Kochi with Nikhil Bora, but the best part is it was a 1-2, Sohail.
Yeah, 1-2 in motorsport is the dream finish for any team, and I think for them to do it in qualifying meant that they knew they had Alistair Young, who was going to start on pole for sprint race 1, as we said. Nikhil Bora qualifies for him. Ruhan Alva qualifies for Fabian Bolwin. So, really encouraging signs early, especially given that the Hyderabad guys weren't in the top 4 or 5. So it just allowed a bit of breathing room for Godspeed Kochi. They were really confident coming into this weekend. They even had a number of drivers sign their nose cone saying, we're going to be champions when we leave Hyderabad. So there's an air of confidence, and these young kids these days, they come in to racing circuits with so much confidence, and I think it's helped them on a day like this.
And for the number to Godspeed Kochika, the average age of that team is just 18. But what happened in qualifying 2? Did they get pole position again? Let's take a quick look at the highlights from qualifying 2 that also happened earlier this morning. And that one was a wet one too, Sohail, but slightly less wet in that one.
Yeah, it was a drying circuit in some sense, but yet again, nothing changed in terms of the results. A 1-2 for Godspeed Kochi this time. We saw a really nice fight at the top between all the girls in the lineup. We had Celia Martin towards the top of the running. We had Fabienne Bolven. We saw Gabriela Yilkova top of the timesheets for a while as well. But then Alistair Young just tipping them to top spot at the back end of qualifying. It was a 0.5 of a second, or half a second rather, I should say, at the end of it between Alistair Young and his teammate Fabienne. But Godspeed Kochi, 1-2 for them. Gabriela Yilkova in third spot, doing a great job for the Goa Aces. And what for me impressed was also not just these two youngsters in blue, but also the card of Thomas Canning, because Thomas Canning was brought into this league just for this weekend in place of Neil Jani. And I just thought what Thomas Canning did was so laudable for the Blackbirds. But all laudits go to these two cars, that of Alistair Young and Fabienne Volven. But for teams like the Chennai Turbo Riders, it's been a tough outing yet again. Nicole Havada and Sandeep Kumar, but these were the moments yet again that we saw so often being shared this weekend. Alistair Young stepping out of the car, he puts the car on pole for Nikhil Bora. Both of them have been so good and the camaraderie so evident, and that to me is the beauty of the IRL.
And it's amazing. Alistair gave pole to Nikhil, Nikhil gave pole back to Alistair. That's the kind of thing that's going on. And Fabian Wolven clocking in a great lap time. But I want to focus on P3. Thomas Canning, only in India for the last couple of days. His first time in this car, his first time at the circuit, nails it in P3. That's a good job.
Yeah, I think Gabriela Yilkova as well had a great run to P3, and then that was taken away from her because her quickest lap, she did cut a corner. So you've got a feel for Gabby as well. She's a quick driver. She's been around the world in terms of what she's raced in different disciplines that she's brought that experience in from. But nothing beats the feeling that Godspeed Kochi will have going into the sprint races, because, as you said, Nikhil Bora puts the car on pole for Alistair. Alistair does the same for him. Ruhan does the same for Fabian. Fabian does it for Ruhan. So it's a perfect team combination. And this league is about not just your driving skill, but what your teammate can do for you. So the Godspeed Kochi team owners, team managers, they must be absolutely over the moon.
I've got one question for you, Sohail. On the table, the Blackbirds Hyderabad team are the toppers, and that, of course, is an important gap to have. They've got a decent gap to Godspeed Kochi, but do you think that makes Kochi the favourites now, that 1-2 in both qualifyings?
100%. For me, at this stage, Kochi are the favourites. I think, for me, as we take a look at some of the incredible supercars that Hyderabad throws up for us on the streets of Hyderabad, they're enjoying some time on the circuit as well. For me, Godspeed Kochi are definitely the favourites. But this is the flavour of Hyderabad. They love their cars here. We know that they spend a lot of money on their cars, tuning them up, wrapping them in some great stuff as well. It can be over the top at times too, but there is a nice culture building for motorsport in Hyderabad. And to have racing on the streets here is such an encouraging sign for the city, for the love for motorsport too.
And this circuit right here produced an amazing sprint race one that came up just a few hours ago. So, what happened in that race? That we shall find out after a quick break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Indian Racing League, the grand finale of the first ever season. And we've got the grid for the sprint race one. That happened earlier on, but this is what the lineup was. Alistair Young in pole, Fabian second, but what a big row through we had, Sohail.
Yeah, it was superb to watch because Thomas Canning comes into the mix as well, Sohail Shah. But, those were the results from it. But race one's sprint is going to be so important to watch. When you look at some of the names in the mix there, these are young drivers who are so impressive. But, even guys like Anindit Reddy will be in action. But overall, when you speak of what is on offer, it is points for Godspeed Kochi. And that to me is what's going to be the most important aspect of watching this race unfold. Because for Godspeed Kochi, they're hunting down the Blackbirds from Hyderabad who come into this weekend as title leaders, championship leaders in terms of points. But I think we might see that change by the end of the day.
It's going to be very, very interesting. And actually, what we saw in Sprint Race 1 was the first ever sprint race in Indian history over here at the IRL. We're going to get to see the full action from that
the first
race
sprint race on a street track.
Exactly, yeah, there is exactly that. But overall, right, just so the notion of a street circuit, just what does it make you feel like as a racing fan who's been around watching the sport for decades now?
Look, I think it's amazing what they've pulled off here to put this into reality. I think for a lot of us it was a pipeline dream to see whether India could pull off a street circuit at any point in the future, and to do it now in 2022, to have IRL come to life, to have the circuit actually come together as we've seen today on this glorious Sunday here in Hyderabad. It's a very proud moment, I think, for Indian motorsport, and a lot of credit goes to the boys who put this together. A lot of credit goes to Arman, Aditya, Akhilesh and all the promoters as well. But overall, for all the drivers to come here and say, we really enjoy this circuit. There's Formula E coming early next year into India. It's a very, very big move going forward for Indian motorsport.
Well, they said they enjoyed, but what happened in the first sprint race? Who got the best of it? Let's find out in the replay.
So in terms of the drivers' points, Akka Rabindra is effectively the new leader. Although, obviously, he's going to have to battle away there with Saeed and Fabian Volbend in terms of the drive.
The grid was wrong. You played the grid for the second race. The grid was the second race grid. That's why both of us were confused.
He's not going to be there on the starting grid. He's certainly not there in the number 10 Hyderabad Blackbird's car. So their huge lead could be about to be sliced big time here. It's all on Tom Canning. The pressure is on him, as he's there in 7th on the starting grid, and he's got to make this count in his favour. So the drivers are going around then on their formation lap. Front row of the grid is locked out by Godspeed Kochi, Alistair Young and Fabian Volbend. Third position is absent, no Oliver Webb. Then it is Akash Gowda alone on row 2. Gabriele Yelkova and Celia Martin, Tom Canning and Sohail Shah, Rishan Rajiv, Nicole Havada, and then Sandy Kumar alone on the back row.
Before the races begin, folks, I'd just like to say one word on this whole occasion. Many have dared, many have tried, but nothing, never have we seen anything of this sort. We've got to drink it in.
Oh, we're having a breakdown!
Oh, come on!
We're having a breakdown! Akash Gowda is slowing on the formation lap. Akash Gowda for the Speed Team and Delhi crew is slowing on the formation lap. He's coming to a stop. This is disastrous for Akash Gowda.
I wonder what's happening over there, but let's focus on the cars on top. The start of the first ever Indian street race at the Indian Racing League. Drink it in, folks. This is a moment that you would love to say, I was there 10 years later. My word, Jake, this is going to be historic and fantastic. So then, what's going to happen? Godspeed Kochi 1 and 2. They're lining up, Jake. Speed Team is Nelly Celia Martin effectively inherits Speed 3 now.
Here we go for race 1 on the streets of Hyderabad in the Indian Racing League. Both drivers on the second row, Oliver Webb and Akash Gowda have in trouble. It's Godspeed Kochi all the way on the front row of the grid. Alistair Young and Fabian Volbend on the front row. Watch for Gabriele Yelkova and Celia Martin on what is effectively now the second row. We're ready to go racing on the streets of Hyderabad for the first time. When the lights go on, we're racing. Here we go. A great start from Young. Volbend's got a good start to Celia Martin. Nowhere. Yet again, problems for the Speed Team, it's Delhi crew. Celia Martin goes nowhere. Disaster for the boys in Saffron. Celia Martin just seconds after Gowda's breakdown has got mechanical problems of her own. So up to fourth now comes Tom Canning as Young leads Volvend, Yilkova and Canning. Then it is Rishon Rajiv for the Bangalore Speedsters.
That was the perfect start for Godspeed Kochi. Did exactly what they did.
Oh, into the wall goes Rajiv. Rajiv's gone into the wall. That is a disaster for Rishon Rajiv in the Bangalore Speedsters car. The back end hits the wall, and that's big damage. Big damage for Rajiv. So it looks as though the Bangalore Speedsters team may be out of this weekend before the end of the first lap. Let's watch. There's Young, Volvend, and in the sudden background, bang! That is big, big damage to Rishon Rajiv.
The wet surface, lots of power in the car. When you apply the throttle slightly heavily, stuff like that happens, and this must be heartbreaking for Rishon. My goodness, they had such an amazing chance to have a great race, but there it is, unfortunately, lost on the first lap, Jake.
Well, Martin and Gowda have both continued as Canning slices up the inside of Gabriele Yilkova, and that puts him into third. No, it doesn't, because Yilkova has had to skip across the chicane. So surely now, Yilkova is going to have to... Oh, the safety car's out, safety car's out. Now, Young is going to have to back down here, because obviously Yilkova is there behind in third position. Canning got through into fourth, the safety car is out for the crash for Rishon Rajiv. Now, can the safety car overtake these two? Because the timing of the safety car wasn't quite good enough to pick up the race leader Alistair Young. So now I would have expected Yilkova and Fabian Volvend to move over and let the safety car come through, which they've done, and so has Alistair Young. So there you go. That was just a couple of seconds too late to pick up Young, but Young and Volvend did the right thing. They controlled the pace. Now, interestingly, Mapta and Gowda have both got going again. They're at the back behind Sandeep Kumar, but they have got going again, and there is the recovery already done for the Bangalore Speedsters, number 3 Rishon Rajiv. They just needed a safety car to do it, but I'm afraid that is the second Bangalore Speedsters car now with big damage. Anshul Gandhi had a big hole in the top after Q1, and I'm afraid now that's big damage for Rishon Rajiv as well. So Bangalore Speedsters may be out of the weekend.
It absolutely is such a big shame. Bangalore Speedsters have one of the most exciting lineups in this entire series. These drivers are so versatile, they're so young, they've got so much of experience and a mixture of talent, but it is such a shame that we're not getting to see them racing. And that's exactly what can happen, Jake. In conditions like this one, even half a mistake can cause an accident like this one, even if you're a driver as fantastically talented as Rishon Rajiv. So imagine what it must be like for him, making that tiny error and boom, your team can't go racing anymore for a little bit. But what's it going to be like for the Speed Demons Delhi? At least they survived, so that's a great thing, but they're all the way at the back. It's like scenario mode of sorts.
It is indeed. It's a quick recovery from the crews here. Excellent work. So, an interesting situation for the contenders as they continue to battle away. Here we go then. This is where we go racing. Young, Volvend, Yilkova and Canning. So through they come at the final turn and onto the straight, and we are once again green flag racing. Here we go. So it's a good start on the restart from Young and Volvend. Now Canning did actually make the move for third place before the safety car period, but Yilkova went across the chicane at Cinema to actually have a gain of third position again. Behind them we've got Sohail Shah, who is there in fifth position, trying to work its way forward. Yilkova now battling Volvend, and that's a move by Celia Martin to get through past Sandeep Kumar, and it looks as though Akash Gowda is trying exactly the same move. So Martin makes the overtaking move there on Sandeep Kumar. Good work for the French driver. So now she is on the way, and Celia Martin moves her way up, and here comes Akash Gowda trying to pull off the same move on Sandeep Kumar. But Kumar and Gowda both have to be patient. They're going to come up to Matcha-Tree, and that is where we saw Rishon Rajiv drop it, so they've got to be very careful how they get their car through. This is where Rajiv lost the car completely, but manages to keep it going.
Interesting how things are playing out right now. Sandeep Kumar, the lawyer by profession, has to fight Akash Gowda, who's sending it in an unconventional place. Has he got it done? Not yet. Good defending by Sandeep, placing his car in the right place as they go past Passport. But for Akash Gowda, this might be frustrating. He knows he's got more pace in the bag. Can he pass Sandeep quick enough to get a move in there?
Here he goes. This is the move into Cinema. He's got the move on the inside. Nicely done there for Akash Gowda. And he follows his teammate Celia Martin up into the position. So that is Mokhtar now in 6th, Gowda in 7th, and then we've got, Nicole Havada has actually passed them all. So good work from Nicole Havada. She has worked her way forward here and done a very fair job to keep the ball rolling. So a fascinating situation as Young now leads the way. Volvend in 2nd position still. A really solid effort from the drivers as they continue to work their way through. There's Havada in front of Mokhtar. 3rd place is still Yilkova. Tom Canning working very hard to try and catch her out and force an error, but it isn't going to happen easily. Yilkova knows what she's doing.
And now it's a Blackbirds Hyderabad sandwich, because all around Thomas Canning is the 2 Go Aces cars. Sohail Shah behind, Gabriela Yilkova up front. Can they work as a team with absolutely Tom and Thomas? Because Goa Aces desperately need points.
Yeah, Hyderabad Blackbird sandwich on Goa Aces bread as Yilkova trying her best to hang on to 3rd place here from Canning and Shah. Havada is still doing well in 6th place, the Canadian. Looking good for her best finish of the season so far, I'm fairly sure. So Nicole Havada, no, she has got a 5th place to her name, I do apologise, from the first weekend in Chennai. So hopefully she can get her way back up, as she has in the first weekend. She never finished lower than the top 6. And that's Yilkova struggling there. She's getting close in behind Fabienne Volvend. So Yilkova doing her best, but Canning running in 4th position.
She's rapidly gained time. She has rapidly gained time on Fabienne Volvend and Alistair Young. So all of a sudden, Goa Aces could be in with a shout right here, up with the Godspeed Kochi 1 and 2. And a word on Godspeed Kochi. The reason why we've not spoken about them so much is because they're doing what is absolutely boring, but what's absolutely brilliant. Drive simply, consistent laps, and absolutely nail it. That is what you need, Jake. You've got to be boring to be effective, and Godspeed Kochi are doing it perfectly.
We need to make a correction, and Indith Reddy will be starting sprint race 2, because obviously this is actually Lola Lovenfoss's designated race, and sadly she is on the sidelines away alongside Oliver Webb. Some results showing Gabriela Yilkova is leading the race. She's not at the moment, she's in 3rd position, but she is starting to hustle Fabienne Volvend. So Volvend and Yilkova are duelling over 2nd position at the moment. Tom Canning there in 4th place is trying to stay with them. The gap between the Godspeed Kochi cars and the Hyderabad Blackbirds team in terms of championship points is now down to just 57 points. But for a 4th position in the sprint, Tom Canning is only looking at 12 points, whereas Godspeed Kochi are looking at 43. So this is going to slice the championship lead in half.
Indeed, yeah. And Godspeed Kochi, if they keep on doing what they are doing, could steal the championship at the Hyderabad Street Circuit. Imagine what the Hyderabadi fans might be feeling like. They came here to watch a Hyderabad championship win, and that could be changing. The confidence that the Godspeed Kochi team have got is outstanding, because from the very first weekend, we knew that they have a young lineup who could be exciting, but we didn't know that exciting could turn up into such great results, and they're proving it very, very well right now.
Well, Alistair Young's first win of the season, of course, came last week in Chennai in his sprint race, but it was under red flag conditions, so he didn't know whether he'd won the race until it was declared. This time, he is back in the lead again in front of teammate Fabienne Volvend, and he's hoping that he goes the distance and finishes the race in style here, because if he does, then that will be his first checkered flag victory of the season at the critical moment in the championship, because they are absolutely stealing points from the Hyderabad Blackbirds now.
And I love the fact that Goa Aces are also making up the points, because so far this year luck has not been on their side, but now they're fair and square in this fight. Sohail Shah, one of the best Indian racers out there, up against Thomas Canning, one of the most exciting young drivers in the UK, and it's a straight up dogfight.
Shah is really going for this on Tom Canning. If he lines it up nicely through Passport, he'll head down the straight and up towards Cinema. This is where Sohail Shah can line up the move on Canning. Oh, Volvend slowing! What? Volvend is slowing! Disaster for Godspeed Kochi. Volvend is slowing. Now, can she make it back to the pits in time? That now promotes Yilkova into 2nd place, and Sohail Shah is attacking Tom Canning. So Fabienne Volvend brings the car back to the pits just in the nick of time before it triggers a safety car. But Fabienne Volvend from 2nd position, that really hampers the chances now for Godspeed Kochi to work their way back into the action and close up on Hyderabad Blackbirds in the championship fight. What disaster. Here comes the move from Shah, trying to tuck in round the outside of the hairpin, past Tom Canning. Canning is hanging on here for the Hyderabad Blackbirds. Shah is giving it everything for the Goa Races. He's got a run, he's got an opportunity. Surely he's not going to try this one at the Garden Gate. Yes, he is. Sohail Shah pulls off the move of the weekend. Brilliant run from Shah.
And with that, he smashed P3 from Thomas Canning. Takes a slot on the podium, Sohail Shah. But can he keep it? That's the big question, because Thomas Canning will be pressurizing him all the way through, asking questions that Sohail probably may or may not have the answers, because this is going to be a fun fight. There is that brilliant move. That is confidence personified. And Thomas, I wonder what he do as Nasser will buy. Can he take it calmly and attack later on as well?
And that was brave, because that was on the dirty side of the track. I'm amazed he actually got it stopped.
That's a good one right there by Sohail. Finally, Goa aces, 2 cars in the top 3. What can Thomas Canning do right now? Can he respond strongly and maybe get his place back on the podium? But what that does all of a sudden, Jake, is put Goa into second. That, in terms of the championship, is fantastic, because Goa aces now could secure the greenaway.
It does indeed, but of course Yelkova managed to fend off from Tom Canning before the safety car by traversing the chicane at the end of the lap in order to get to the position. So whether they're going to judge whether or not she's gained an advantage there remains to be seen. But at the moment, the Goa Aces are looking for their best finish of the season, 2nd and 3rd, as Alistair Young continues out in front. But the absence of Fabian Volvend is going to be quite painful, actually. So a very difficult situation for the team, as they were hoping to score a massive haul of points over the Hyderabad Blackbirds. And yes, Alistair Young is leading, Canning is in 4th place, but the amount of points they're going to gain now, instead of being a whopping 31 points, is now going to be just 13. That's what Fabian Volvend's retirement does to the championship fight. Hyderabad Blackbirds live to sigh another day and come back ready for the 2nd sprint race.
And I love how the tides changed, because Godspeed Kochi today were just feeling like this was meant to be their day. But sometimes things that are out of your control can come in and completely shake the basis of your entire championship foundation. And that, for Godspeed Kochi, might be heartbreaking. There's another car, unfortunately, slowing down. That's Celia Martin, who's parked up quite a bit. So that's a weird place to stop.
Well, it's probably the safest place to stop. It again means that the race can go the distance. But poor Celia Martin had a terrific qualifying position, but ever since the start of the race it's just been a nightmare for Martin. But look how quickly the circuit is drying. Now that the rain has stopped, there are still some very damp patches around the course. But you have to say, in this race, the driver of the day has got to be Gabriela Yilkova. Whether or not she'll get a little bit of a ticking off for defending her position from Tom Canning by going off the road is another thing, but the way she has challenged and held on Tom Canning and then started to gain ground on Alistair Young, she's driving a brilliant race.
She is indeed, and I wonder if Alistair Young knows what's going on behind him, because so far Alistair has been leading from lights to almost the flag. That's coming up rather soon, and for Alistair it's been quiet and peaceful. I don't even know if he knows that Fabian Wolven is not behind him anymore. So that for Alistair is going to be a major talking point, because now if Gabriela comes closer, he'll have nobody to defend before Gabriela gets to him. So that's also going to be another aspect to watch for. But the young Malaysian driver is just following in the footsteps of his father, doing what Alex Young would do in his junior career. Win races consistently, dominate, peaceful, calm, no need for any drama, just win, win, win.
Yeah, when he was a kid, Alistair Young used to watch his father racing in the A1 Grand Prix World Cup of Motorsport. After his stint in Formula One, and he learned all the tricks of the trade, and he certainly had a great teacher. So now they are continuing to battle away around the course. It looks like it's going to be one of those days for Alistair Young when it all goes right. Tom Canning doing his best to continue to move forward. So Tom Canning still there in 4th position, trying to chase down Sohail Shah. But the Goa Races really have made this race come to them. Bit of a lock-up for Shah. Drifts over the apex a little bit of the hairpin, but he catches it nicely. And he's still got that opportunity there in front of Tom Canning. We've just got to keep it going. We've just got to keep it going. So Young is going to finish this lap and then go on to the final lap of the race. Despite the problems for Rishon Rashid going into the wall, quick work from the officials, quick work from the marshals, the Orange Army around the course, keeping us nice and safe around the Hyderabad street circuit. But Alistair Young leads the way from Gabriela Yilkova and Sohail Shah, with Tom Canning in 4th. Akash Gowda now running in 5th place. Speed Demons Delhi car number 11 in front of Nicole Havada and Sandeep Kumar. But the time has ticked down to 0, and Alistair Young is going to bring this car home for his 2nd win of the season. Touch wood. There's another lap to go. So the Malaysian is now just one lap away from sealing a checkered flag victory. Last lap, here we go.
And it could be historic. Alistair could be the first proper winner of a street race in India. That's putting your name in there in the history books. But it's still one lap away and the conditions, Jake, are still very treacherous. We saw in the opening lap what can happen if you get the margins even slightly wrong. But I don't want to jinx it. Alistair has been fantastic so far. But also a word on Sohail Shah. The young Indian racer has gone in there and put a fastest lap for the Goa Aces. So I know he won't quite pester Gabriela Yilkova because he realizes that the team game is more important, but he's getting up there. He's showing a sign of confidence that yes, the Goa Aces are not just here to make up the numbers. They can go in there and they can fight with the big guys.
And it's just started raining again, I do believe. So yes, the rain has come back and this is going to be really tricky for Alistair Young to hang on to as the rain picks up and it's intensified. It's getting really heavy here on the start-finish line. So Young has got to be so careful. The rain comes down heavily here at Hyderabad. Everyone's got to be tiptoeing their way through the final few corners. Into Passport comes Young. Careful, Alistair. Don't do anything silly. Bring it home. Bring it home. Look at the rain. It's got very heavy indeed here all of a sudden. And he's got just 3 corners to go. Tiptoe, Alistair. Just do the best you can. Keep it together. Don't throw the win away. He squirrels out into Paddock Bend, but he is going to be the first winner in Hyderabad on the street circuit. Alistair Young wins race 1. Brilliant for Godspeed Kochi. Yilkova comes home in 2nd. 3rd for Sohail Shah. 4th Tom Canning. But Alistair Young splashes his way to victory in the first ever Hyderabad street race. Victory is the Malaysians.
Utter domination. Lights to flag. Godspeed Kochi have got the win in the bag and they didn't even relent once. Never in this race you could see any driver get close to Alistair Young. That's the air of confidence that this young man has around him right now. Alistair wins it for Kochi. Unfortunate that they couldn't get the 2nd car on the podium, but regardless, this is huge for the championship. But the cars behind, Goa Aces, finally, redemption, Jake. Throughout the season, luck has not been on their side, but Goa Aces at last getting what they've always been dreaming for, a double podium. Get in there, Gabriela. Get in there, Sohail. You deserve it. What a race.
Yeah, they really do. They've worked incredibly hard. Alistair Young cruising in on the slowing down lap. He's absolutely ecstatic. Nobody could take this win away from him. Alistair Young, the class of the field. Tom Canning did a very sturdy job there in 4th position in a car he had never even sat in before Friday afternoon. And I was actually there in the pits for his first seat fitting. To come through and do what he's done from 7th on the grid to 4th, fair play to Tom Canning, but the weather really has taken a turn for the worse ahead of race 2. So all bets are off now. But Alistair Young, the pressure was on him to make the mistake. Not even close. He kept it together and he has got himself the win in fine style. There you go, the team. There'll be mixed feelings in Godspeed Kochi. I think they'll be even more jubilant if they had got a win and a 2nd. And certainly Fabienne Volvend deserved to be in 2nd position for the drive she put in. She's looking pretty sorrowful. But Alistair Young is in party mode. Win number 1, tick, VG.
And this is the way to begin your championship challenge. This is the way to start the weekend, which could end up seeing you win the World Championship. Is it a World Championship? Let's count it as a World Championship, whatever, yeah. But Alistair and Nikhil, that pairing has been so fantastic, Jake. Nikhil put it on pole position for Alistair. Alistair did not make one mistake. Now, Alistair has also put it on pole for Nikhil. So, sprint race 2 is going to be fun too.
Miroka embraces Yilkova. Driver coach comes over to Gabriela Yilkova. Their dynamic is so brilliant, these two.
All right, we have Alistair with me. Congratulations once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
So you have been dominating for a really long time. What's the trick here?
Honestly, I'm new to this track. I just made the most of it. Really happy. One hand we won, which I'm elated about. On the other hand, you know, Fabian had a mechanical issue, which is a real shame because that would have put us really good in the team championship. But 2 more races were 1 and 2 for the grid in all the next 2. So a lot of potential there. Just going to keep hunting the wins.
Alistair, it's been a very eventful morning. You know, we've had so many incidents that have taken place. Is the track feeling any different for you today?
Oh, it's really wet. I mean, that's a big difference from yesterday, but it's hard to say because the conditions are constantly changing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so how do you plan to hold this league that's completely in your domination right now?
For the next two races? Well, Nikhil's up next. I know he's probably the fastest driver on this grid, so I'm not too worried. Just got to make sure the car's okay since we had one mechanical. And then for the future, we're leading, so we just got to smash it for the pit stops.
And any tips for Nikhil?
No, it's fine. He's the quickest guy I know, so we should be all right.
Okay, all right. Well, he's been dominating for the last few races and doing a great job. All the best, and back to Xerxes right now.
Hi, we are here with Gabriel and Kevin from Goa Aces. They just scored P2. How does it feel? How was the race like?
Yeah, I'm of course really happy. It was a hard race because all races before were on dry. But yeah, it seems like that wet suits us a little bit better. So yeah, I'm really happy that we finished at P2. And yeah, let's see in the afternoon. Maybe we can get more than just one trophy today.
And Kevin, you're going to be up next for the next race. What's the plan after watching what happened right now? How are you going to keep this momentum going?
I mean, the scale is high right now, so yeah, some kind of pressure for me, but no, we have to take it serious. The condition can change, so many things can happen. I'm just proud that she did a really amazing job and she deserved P2, so yeah. I'm under pressure now, Gabi. Thank you very much. I will push. I will give you guys a good show.
And as of now, there's obviously the feature race coming at the end where you're going to share the car. What's the strategy getting to there? Like, what if something happens?
Yeah, I think that the strategy is clear. Be one of the fastest. Don't make any mistake. And yeah, stay on the track as
That was the only one we didn't get a podium yet, so super happy for you.
That was really nice, thank you. So yeah, we have been fighting with the set of the car in the dry, but in the wet it seems like it's working, so let's see how it goes.
Go, gone. Good job, best of luck. Out.
All right, I'm with Sohail now. Congratulations once again.
Thank you. It was a wet race, started 10th. Happy to finish third. I mean, you're starting 10th on a straight track where you really can't overtake much. It's good, I guess.
Sohail, Goa Aces has been playing various different games here, and I can see that it's finally got you to the podium in many different ways. So what's working for you?
Mainly, I think the problem with us was that, both the cars weren't performing at their level actually last round. Round 2 was good, but then we had some incidents in the races for which we fell back. But here, I think the car's again working and we're making it work. We're driving clean, and I think we can make it again next race and the future race.
I feel like a lot of different incidents have finally getting you closer to the podium is what I'm feeling. What's the plan for the future race?
Just, same as always, one of the drivers starts, you put in as quick as possible and the other jumps in as soon as possible. So you get clean air, you're not behind somebody and you catch as fast as you can.
Absolutely. But was it something different that you did on this race?
I just stayed behind everybody, waited for my chance. I didn't go for it, didn't rush it because I know it's wet, right? People are bound to make mistakes. So just made sure I focused on myself, didn't make the mistakes and took the opportunities I had.
Great. All the best for the rest of the race. That's Sohail, Goa Aces, getting closer to the podium. Back to the studio for now.
But what a battle he had eventually. Gabriela Yulkova, Sohail, P2. That is redemption for her.
Yeah, it really is. She's been one of the quicker female drivers on the grid. She's really deserved a good result. And as you said, redemption for her. For Godspeed, Kochi, obviously they would have loved a 1-2, but really unlucky. And I really feel for Fabienne Boulven because she was on course. She was on course for a nice 1-2 for them. She was on course for a great result for herself. And I think she was absolutely distraught when she sadly had to pull out with, well, no fault of her own. So I think when you've got mechanical issues, it's part of the sport. You've got to digest that. But you still feel for her. Sohail Shah, again, for him, deserved podium as well. And these are moments that you'll remember for a long time. First sprint race here on the streets of Hyderabad. And these are really, really nice moments. And I think, remember, guys, that you've got your teammate up there with you because your teammate qualified for you to enable you to be there on that podium. So really nice moments for both drivers of each side to enjoy these champagne moments together.
And it's incredible because they get to celebrate the results immediately, but not everyone looks very happy. You can see the P3 Go Aces team. They're happy enough to be there, but they want more, and that hunger is what we love, Sohail.
Yeah, that's a nice pairing as well. Amir Syed and Sohail Shah, two young drivers with plenty of promise. Gabby and Kevin Miroka, lots of experience there. Gabby's done the Nürburgring 24 hours. Kevin Miroka has driven Formula 2, Formula 3 and the likes as well. But to the winners, I think nothing you can take away from that pairing. Nikhil Bora and Alistair Young both have parked their cars in P1 in qualifying. Both have done a tremendous job in terms of pace all through the Indian Racing League, and it's a great moment for Alistair as well, son of Alex Young, who was in Formula 1. He's picked up a second win now in the Indian Racing League. So there is a little bit of pressure when you've got a father who's been in Formula 1. There's a lot of pressure to, sort of follow the norm, follow the traits that your father has had and make it all the way to the top as well. He's a good kid, he's fast, he's light in terms of how he approaches life. I think he's got the right attitude in terms of how to take on and tackle motorsport, which is a tough beast as well. So kudos to Alistair. Nikhil Bora will want to go back to back.
But what an incredible sprint race one that was. We should be back with more action on Sprint Race 2 after a short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Indian Racing League, where we have the grid for sprint race number 2. Nikhil Bora will be on pole, and joining him will be his teammate Rohan Alva, and then Sohail, Akhil Rabindra for the Blackbirds Hyderabad.
He needs a good result for Hyderabad because obviously they are trailing in terms of this weekend, and they need the points to stay top of the table. Parth Ghorpade for Chennai, they've got a big job ahead of them with John Lancaster just behind him. So for the Chennai Turbo riders, they had that one podium in Chennai, but after that, nothing more of it. Anindit Reddy will feature in the second sprint race as well because his teammate Lola is down, unfortunately, with an illness, so she's not going to partake in this weekend's races. So a bit more pressure on Anindit Reddy to perform for the Blackbirds Hyderabad side, and that just gives them, unfortunately, a one step further back in that title charge versus Godspeed Kochi.
And the momentum is on Godspeed Kochi's side. They so far have been absolutely fantastic. Big win in sprint race once away. What happened? Can they replicate it in sprint race too? Because now Nikhil has got the charge.
You know, I was talking to Alistair Young between the two races, and he said actually for him, Nikhil Bora is the quickest driver on the circuit. So he has utter confidence in his teammate Nikhil, and I think that camaraderie is rubbing off on each other. They're enjoying success for each other. They've put the car on pole for each other as well in that side, and they're again starting 1-2. I would say watch out for Ruhan Alva. They might have some tactics coming into that first corner as well to stay out in front, two teammates. The last thing they want is to take each other out. So I know we were in for an entertaining race too.
So what happened in sprint race 2? Let's catch up with all the action, shall we?
Race 2 of the weekend from the Hyderabad Street Circuit. What a battle this one is going to be. Sadly, neither of the Bangalore Speedsters cars will take up residence on the starting grid after crash damage suffered in qualifying and race 1 for each car. But it is Godspeed Kochi all the way on the front row of the grid as they continue their valiant quest to catch up to the championship leaders, the Blackbirds from Hyderabad. Jake Sanson and Sohail Chandok in the commentary box to give you all of the action as it plays out in this historic weekend for Indian racing. The safety car pulls them away, and it's up to Nikhil Bora and Ruhan Alva to bring Godspeed Kochi up to the top spot.
Welcome to Hyderabad, ladies and gentlemen. Street racing is alive and kicking in India, and it is fantastic to get this sprint race underway. Front row lockout for the Godspeed Kochi cars. Nikhil Bora and Ruhan Alva. Nikhil's been one of the quicker young Indian drivers throughout the series. And remember, coming into this weekend, it was the Blackbirds Hyderabad leading in the title race, but Godspeed Kochi are doing everything in their powers to change that. And they've locked out the front row in the first race, locked it out in the second race, in the feature as well. And there's a massive haul of points if they could stay this way for those two young men.
So this is going to be a painful defeat if everything goes Godspeed Kochi's way for the Blackbirds from Hyderabad. It wouldn't really have made any difference either if Neil Charlie had stayed, sadly. And Little Love, of course, was very tearful last night, very devastated about the way the championship fight has kind of fallen away from the team. But I really hope that she doesn't take it too close to heart. She certainly feels that she contributed avidly. Her podium last week in Chennai, a very strong performance. And now it's up to Anindit Reddy to climb that number 10 Blackbirds Hyderabad car up the order. This is going to be a fascinating race when we get going.
Yeah, it is. And I think for the Blackbirds Hyderabad side, more importantly, it could be a loss in Hyderabad. And that would be absolutely gut-wrenching for them. But Godspeed Kochi, here we go. This should get interesting. Front row lockout, two young drivers, Ruhan Alva, Nikhil Bora. They're going to have to play smart here to keep the points alive and get both those cars clean through the first few laps.
I was about to get worried there about the absence of Anindit Reddy, but I cannot see Mitchell Gilbert. I can't see Mitch Gilbert's car, the number 12, so it looks as though he's had a problem on the formation lap. Jahan Ali Mozin moving up alongside Kevin Morocco on the third row, but it's time to go racing for the second time on the streets of Hyderabad. Nikhil Bora on the inside line, Ruhan Alva on the outside line. Mitch Gilbert is trying to close up to the field. He is still going, but he's going to be joining in late. Ready, let's race. Good start from the pole sitter. Nikhil Bora gets a good run. Closing up on Ruhan Alva as they go flat out through the first corner beside the Hussain Sagat Lake. And then along Lakeside they go. A good start from Morocco. He's moved up to 5th position in front of Shahan Ali Mozin. And a very feisty start too from the birthday weekender, John Lancaster, trying to work his way forward. And there's a bit of defensive driving from Bora as he holds on in front of Ruhan Alva. Morocco still dances on the inside, trying not to collect Sohail Shah. A very clean start there through the hairpin. Everybody's made it through.
Always really tricky to go defensive in the wet because you're going off that dry line, a drying line as well. So gutsy from Nikhil Bora, even though it was a smart call. His teammate behind him, so he's got to play this a little better at times. He knows he's not going to make a silly lunge, Ruan Alba, from behind him, because the team would have spoken to both these young drivers and said, guys, no matter what, the one thing we want you to do is get both cars home. Unless there's a mechanical issue, you cannot afford to take a chance. There you go.
Borra's overshot. Borra has gone over the chicane. He's managed to recover it. But that's the first real mistake that we have seen from the number 2 car in a competitive session. Obviously, we saw Borra drop it after his qualifying lap. He's got to be so careful. And look, Ruan Alba is actually giving him challenge. Now, it doesn't matter which Godspeed Kochi car wins the race. As long as one of them does, it doesn't matter. But Ruan Alba's got to be careful. If he pushes it too hard and challenge Nikhil Borra, they can end up taking each other out of the race.
I just think Nikhil Borra is driving in his mirrors rather than driving forward at this stage. He's got to just keep his head down, focus on what's ahead of him and get going. There you go. Now he's pulled off a bit of a gap to Ruan Alba. There's a replay of where he just came in a bit too hot. Did not have it, but does a good job, honestly, to say, okay, I'm not going to make that corner. Let me keep it clean and cut the chicane. Oh, dicey.
That was dicey. Meanwhile, John Lancaster's going wheel to wheel with Kevin Marocca. And there's an Indith Reddy just behind them as well. So Lancaster trying to get up to the move on Kevin Marocca. 2 drivers with plenty of experience. Kevin Marocca in FIA F2 almost a decade ago. And John Lancaster, of course, who raced in the World Series by Renault back in the day. So they both have good single-seater GT and prototype experience. And it's 2 drivers evenly matched here. Lancaster trying to go for the bid around the matcha tree, and he's ended up running wide. So can he catch it in front of an Indith Reddy? Just saves it. But Mitch Gilbert has now caught up to them already. So Mitch Gilbert driving with fire in his belly.
Unfortunately for the Chennai side, that means Parth Korpade is dropped further back. But this is a good battle to watch out for, because it's all that experience of Kevin Marocca and John Lancaster. They've both driven multiple series around the world, and this is a different beast though. A street circuit in India, in cars that they're not normally used to driving. It's a real proper dogfight. And Nikhil Borra and Ruan Alba at the front though, doing a good job to keep their noses clean. And while all this fuss is going on behind them, they're actually inching ahead nicely.
Well, Mitch Gilbert's got a good run off the final turn from an Indith Reddy. He'll go down the main straight. Has he got the stones to chuck that up the inside? In through turn 1. Oh my goodness, Mitch Gilbert standing on it. Through turn 1, he goes wheel to wheel with an Indith Reddy. He just backs out of it. Now he's going to make another bid. Reddy's looking in the mirrors. Which way is he going? Is he going left? Is he going right? He's keeping an Indith Reddy guessing. So Mitch Gilbert wants to make the move, and an Indith Reddy's going to lock up. Oh, brilliant defensive tactics there from Mitch Gilbert to just intimidate an Indith Reddy and forces him to make the error.
I was just about to say the hometown boy is not going to give him any room, but Indith Reddy just had his eyes in the mirrors for way too long, breaks a bit too late, goes on further, does not make the hairpin. Let's just take another look at it, because you can't outbreak yourself when you've got that man hunting you down, and that's a great move from Mitch Gilbert.
Mr. Intimidator, Mitch Gilbert flies his way through to move up into the position. So Mitch Gilbert now up into, trying to do the math here, I think it's 7th place now. Meanwhile, that's Marocca catching up to his teammate.
Yeah, Jake, this to me is a good battle, because Amir Syed is a young Indian driver who's impressed. He's got a podium already in the Indian Racing League. But Kevin Marocca, as you said earlier too, feels at one with the car this weekend. He's finally got to grips with this car, with this circuit. He feels like he's got what it takes to be up there at the very front of the grid, and so he'd want to make light work of Amir Syed. Meanwhile, Amir Syed, a young Indian driver, wants a big result, so I'm not sure he's going to say, hang on teammate, I'll let you through easy, because he wants the points as well. Here we go.
He certainly felt in his qualifying session earlier that he had a car good enough for 3rd, and look, Shah is trying to let his teammate go. He clearly feels that Marocca is faster, so Shah gets the run off the turn, and Marocca slides through, gets the move, and that's a really good run from Kevin Marocca, considering the problems he's been having with this car since the start of the season. And now Sohail Shah is going into defensive mode. So sorry, my apologies, it's Amir Syed, because Shah is watching from the paddock club here. So they're now going wheel to wheel. Amir Syed trying his best to keep Lancaster back. Lancaster round the outside of the matcha tree. What a move from John Lancaster.
Also really twitchy from Amir Syed. He's just not in control of that car. Doesn't look like he's got enough grip in those tyres. He seems like he's wrestling the car in these conditions. But around the outside from John Lancaster, oh, that is a gutsy move. We haven't seen one there around the outside, that's for sure.
Well, Syed is feeling a little bit under the weather, so Amir Syed doing his best to keep himself in the mix, but John Lancaster finding the way through. So John Lancaster able to pick up the pieces there and move his way forward. But it was always going to be a very tough race for both drivers. Lancaster now promoting himself up into 5th position. Morocco is now 4th, and Ahmed Sayed drops to 6th position. So a tough race going for Goa Aces, but Morocco is doing his best to keep tabs on Akhil Ravindra in 3rd position. But this is great news for Godspeed Kochi. Their cars are still 1 and 2.
Yeah, we haven't even spoken about the leaders much because they're coasting out in front, and we don't want to say that too early in the race. We know there's a few mechanical issues that have happened. Oh!
And it's happened again!
Just as we said it. Ruhan Alva.
It's happened again, this time to Ruhan Alva. Oh my goodness, the number 1 just has no luck at all. Well, now he's got the car restarted, so he's going to have to try and work his way back up the order. But yet another 2nd place goes up in tatters for Godspeed Kochi.
We could call that the commentators' curse.
I think we could.
We did not speak about them for about 10 minutes. And the first mention of the leaders saying they're coasting out in front. And sadly, Ruhan Alva, again, you see with a lot of drivers, they say they've been stuck in neutral, not been able to find gears. Seems like he found 2nd or 3rd gear after and then got going again.
Now, the important thing for Ruhan Alva is that he, A, has got going, and B, only dropped to 5th position behind John Lancaster. So, they're still going to get a fairly decent crop of points from this race, as long as Ruhan Alva can get it to the finish. But this promotes Kevin Morocco to the podium. They must be having a nosebleed down at Goa Races.
Unbelievable stuff. We were saying how Kevin Morocco is feeling really good in this car, in these conditions particularly. And he's now making a charge to try and catch the back of Akhil Ravindra. And it's not that much of an ambitious thought as well, because Akhil Ravindra, there you go, he's got him in his sights, and Kevin Morocco is the quickest driver on track at the moment. He is charging.
Yeah, he's done a great job to get himself up in the 3rd position consistently over the course of racing. Mitch Gilbert trying to have a look at him. Yes, another look at him. Those two have been battling since the start. Very sad to see Shahan Ali Mohsin down the order, as well as Parth Gobadi. But the number 11 Speed Demons Delhi car just doesn't have the pace. It looks as though they've had similar problems to what we saw from Akash Gowda a little earlier on. And that means that Shahan Ali Mohsin is not where he deserves to be. He deserves to be fighting for the top 3. But Morocco, clearly watching Gabriel Yilkova in race 1, goes, right, you can get a podium, so can I.
Yeah, Shahan Ali Mohsin, you have to feel for him because he's put in the 2nd quickest lap on track over the last lap, and still just not good enough for him. Unfortunately, finds himself way down in 9th, and no fault of his own. But this is the battle to watch build, because you've got Akhil Ravindra, very, very good driver. He's picked up a few podiums already this season, but Kevin Morocco is on the charge and hunting him down quickly. The last lap pulled off 0.5 of a second on him, so this is a good battle to watch.
Ruhan Alva trying to make up for some of the time lost there in 5th position, cruising up behind John Lancaster in the hope that he can make an overtaking move as we continue on. 6 minutes to go here, and the laps are ticking down as well. They're into lap 7. Nikhil Bora is your race leader. Akhil Ravindra 2nd, then Kevin Morocco, John Lancaster, Ruhan Alva, Ahmed Sayed, Anindit Reddy, Mitchell Gilbert, Shahan Ali Mohsin and Parth Gobadi. All 10 drivers that started are still circulating. It's a very frustrating day in the office still for the man down in 9th position, Shahan Ali Mohsin.
Also, Jake, for me, things start to get a little tricky at this part of the circuit because it's a lot drier, and these tyres that they've got on, I wonder how they're going to play into the race with 5.5 minutes to go as the track keeps drying. If things dry out a bit more, it just starts to get tricky, and then Kevin Morocco, I think, comes into his own even more, given the experience he's got driving in conditions such as these in different cars around the world versus young Akhil Ravindra, who may not have similar experience. Look at that, he has caught him massively over the last lap.
And of course, in the drying conditions rather than dry conditions, driving around this place every lap is going to be very akin to a speedboat cruising along the coast, because every lap is going to feel different. Every single lap's going to be tough. Ravindra under big pressure from Morocco. Morocco's caught him up. Alva's caught up Lancaster in the same breath. Morocco doing his best to hunt down. Again, I think he missed the chicane there, but that won't cause him any issues, because he won't have gained any time from that. He's actually lost a bit of time to Ravindra there. So looking at the lap times, and it is indeed Ravindra being hunted and hustled down here by Kevin Morocco, who now fancies his chances at 2nd place.
He's pulled off a 2nd on the last lap, an entire 2nd over the last lap on Akhil Ravindra. He was under his rear wing, and he is sniffing blood here. Kevin Morocco is on the charge. He's going to size up a move, because with 4 minutes still to go, you want that one move to stick. I don't think he's going to be able to catch Nikhil Bora, who's actually put in the quickest lap time after time, lap after lap. So I think for him, he'll settle for second, and therefore it's that one move. Calculated risk is what is needed. Keep your nose clean and pick your moment, Kevin Mirocca.
There's 4 drivers here, and any one of them could end up in second place, and then whoever manages to come up behind them will obviously be picking up the pieces. But this is a tough race from second down to 5th. Rabindra, Mirocca, Lancaster, Alva. This is what the Indian Racing League was all meant to be about. 4 different teams challenging for the second place spot. Amazing. And that is an Indith Reddy. Well, that unfortunately might put the kibosh on the Hyderabad Blackbirds team, scoring enough points to beat Godspeed Kochi today in the championship fight.
He's also the homeboy here, Arindit Reddy, so it's a bit of a shame for him. And any points would have helped, because right now they just need something. It does help them, obviously, that Rohan Alva has dropped backwards, but he's still in 5th, so he'll bring home a bag of points for Godspeed Kochi. With Nikhil Bora out in front, Kochi are really on the hunt for the Blackbirds Hyderabad. Having said that, though, over the last couple of laps, Akhil Rabindra has put his foot down, pedal to the metal. Oh, here we go.
Yellow flags. The thing is, yellow flags here. There are yellow flags on the circuit, so Akhil Rabindra was slowing, and Kevin Mirocca's taken advantage of that. So has Rohan Alva, who's got past Lancaster. So Alva around the outside of the Hyderabad Blackbirds car. Suddenly Rabindra drops from second place to 4th. Now I wonder, did Rabindra think they were under safety car?
Yeah, just, or is there an issue? Because he's dropped 2 places quickly. He's in sights of John Lancaster, who's going to pretty much swallow him over the next lap, you would think. But that is a really big shame for Akhil Rabindra, who was looking so good for a podium.
And now we've got the fastest man on track, Nikhil Bora, lapping in the 1:23, so they're going to get the bonus point for fastest lap. If Rohan Alva can get into second position past Kevin Mirocca, then they will score the maximum 44 points available. Here goes Lancaster, being brave, gets the move. Lovely from John Lancaster.
Yeah, that is a really bold move from John Lancaster. Lunged down the inside. Once he got his nose in, he knew Akhil Rabindra wasn't going to shut the door. Just wonder what's going on with Akhil Rabindra, because he slipped back very quickly. That's 3 places in a single lap. And as I was saying it, actually, he put in a good lap on the lap before that, pulled off a bit of a gap, and here is the replay of that lunge.
It's a big dive. He commits to the painted curb on the inside, manages to get the car circulating, rotates it nicely on the exit. That's a big lunge from John Lancaster into passport, and he manages to make it work. Along lakeside, and Kevin Mirocca is parking the car exactly where he needs to with the braking point. He's putting it in the middle of the road. They both drifted wide. Alva's going to get it. Rohan Alva, second place. Godspeed Kochi, 1 and 2 once more.
And that's just the pressure. He was piling on the pressure. The young lad, Rohan Alva, 17 years old, has been on the charge. He dropped back to 5th, remember. He's made the charge back from 5th, all the way back to 2nd, where he started this race. That is sublime from young Rohan Alva.
What a little hero Rohan Alva has been in this race. Had a cutout, a misfire, banging the steering wheel in frustration. No, come on, bring me back in. Which is exactly what the car decided to do. It got him going again, and now Rohan Alva has fought his way back into second place. But now John Lancaster is feeling feisty. He wants to take on Kevin Mirocca once again.
He's got nothing to lose. John Lancaster will go for it here. Kevin Mirocca has him in his sights, but Rohan Alva, by virtue of making that move, moving back into second, it is big points now. Let's just take another look at it. Again, goes wide, goes in too deep into the hairpin, and that's all the invitation that Rohan Alva needed. Now, with by virtue of a 1-2 for Rohan Alva and Nikhil Bora, and Akhil Rabindra dropping so far back, Godspeed Kochi are the title favourites for me in the Indian Racing League.
So there are 2 laps still to go, and the battle is raging behind. But you can see that Rohan Alva has now got himself in a second. You've got Kevin Mirocca and John Lancaster, then Rabindra, Saeed, Gorpathy, and Nindith Reddy, who I believe has got going again. There are problems though for Mitch Gilbert and Shahan Ali Mohsin. I think both Speed Team telecars have now retired from the race. That is devastating news. But the time has run down to 0, and it's now just cruising home. But Rohan Alva as Lancaster's got to run on Mirocca. This could be the chance. He has to look into Matcha Tree once again. Thought he could do the run round the outside, but Mirocca is way too smart for that.
Just to explain it to you guys, I know the clock has run down for all of you at home. The clock runs down, you've then got 1 lap after, so when Nikhil Bora crosses the line now, there will be 1 last lap that starts, and that's why it is important to know, because here comes John Lancaster. That would have ended badly.
Yeah, that would have been. He bailed out of it at just the right moment. but the factor is that he's giving Kevin Morocco all the pressure in the world. Final lap for Nikhil Bora. It's looking good for a Godspeed Kochi 1-2 as Morocco overshoots at the chicane there. He's under pressure from John Lancaster. Lancaster just needs to keep piling it on. For Akhil Rabindra, this is very disappointing as far as he's concerned. 5th position is not where he wanted to be when he could have had 2nd.
John Lancaster now, unfortunately, dropping back a little bit. He did cut the chicane, Kevin Morocco, but I don't think he gained too much time there. John Lancaster had the move, and unfortunately, with that ill-timed lunge, he actually dropped back further. It wasn't a convincing attempt at getting Kevin Morocco, but this is where he starts to claw back. This is the part of the circuit where John Lancaster has gained a lot of ground.
John Lancaster still doing a great job here for the Chennai Turbo Riders, hoping to try and get himself into 3rd position if they can come from a single lap in qualifying for John Lancaster in his session. If it's Sandy Kumar down at the back to John charging his way through to a 3rd position finish. That would be an amazing return to his efforts. They go through Matchatry into Devil's Den.
He's going to make one move here. Surely, John Lancaster sizing him up. There's no move in him. He can feel it. He wants it. Where's it going to come is the question. It's running out of time, however.
Well, the checkered flag is going to be out for Nikhil Bora. He will come through. Nikhil Bora is going to take the checkered flag up front, and he has done so. Godspeed Kochi's number 2. Nikhil Bora has got the checkered flag up front. He's so far ahead of everybody else that he's already taken the finish. Ruan Alva in 2nd place then. So Nikhil Bora has taken the win so far out in front. He actually extended the gap to over 20 seconds, would you believe? But 17 seconds in the end because he cruised home. But Ruan Alva in 2nd place in front of Kevin Morocco, John Lancaster and Akhil Rabindra. There is Ruan Alva, but we really need to pick up Nikhil Bora in the number 2 car up in front.
What a win for Godspeed Kochi. A 1-2 finish for Godspeed Kochi. Back-to-back wins on the streets of Hyderabad. What a start to their weekend. And it's only gotten better for them in that chase for the title to become champions of the Indian Racing League. Nikhil Bora backs up what Alistair Young did in race 1. And they've got a 1-2 finish with Ruan Alva in 2nd. That is as good as it gets for the team.
Well, an absolutely fantastic situation for the Godspeed Kochi cars. They run in 1st and 2nd places and grab the 1-2 that they utterly deserved. Morocco in 3rd place keeps Goa Aces on the podium, and John Lancaster did everything he could, every trick in the book, but he couldn't pull off the podium. 4th position for the birthday boy, and with Akhil Rabindra, they're going to have some long faces. There is Nikhil Bora, 2 out of 2 for car number 2 in both qualifying and the races, and they are well on course to snatch the Indian Racing League away from Hyderabad Blackbirds.
And I think there'll be some very, very happy people in the paddock, one of them being Gabby as well, as she charges in to welcome Kevin Morocco. But Nikhil Bora, Alistair Young, back-to-back wins for Godspeed Kochi, and there is Alistair Young. He will be thrilled with that attempt as well. Put the car in front, kept it there, lights the flag win for Alistair in the first sprint, lights the flag from Nikhil Bora, and Ruan Alva makes it a 1-2 finish. How good is that side now? Godspeed Kochi, the favourites.
What a comeback from Ruan Alva to come back from 5th to 2nd place after some technical woes. And now they've got a 1-2 and the fastest lap. That gives them 44 points. Reddy retired from the race, and Akhil Rabindra could only come home in 5th place. Look at this. They know that they are going to fight for the championship now in the final race of the season. Ruan Alva, 1 and 2 for Nikhil Bora and Ruan Alva. Fabian Volben goes and congratulates them as well. But you know what this really means? It means that they've scored 44 points, while the Hyderabad Blackbirds have only scored 10. That means the gap comes down to just 10 points by my math.
And it's going to get even closer. I think they will swallow that 10-point gap alive very, very quickly. The Speed Demons Delhi, a tough outing, but what a race for Kevin Morocco. I think he's one of the drivers of the day because, as we said, coming into this race, he was feeling really good in that car. Gabby did a great job in the first race as well to get them a podium. So back-to-back podiums for them too, which is a very impressive Sunday for Kevin Morocco and Gabby.
Driver of the race, Ruan Alva for me. Driver pairing of the weekend so far, it's these two, Yilkova and Kevin Morocco. They're doing a magnificent job.
Yeah, and I think they're working with each other, really feeding off each other. The feedback from one to the other has been working well. Ruhan Alva, what a job he has done. Well done, young man. Dropping from second all the way down to fifth, charging back to second. And you can understand why someone like Fabienne as well is so thrilled with that, because she missed out on a podium in her previous race. She'll be up there on the podium for this one as a driver pairing, given what she did in qualifying. So really nice to see the smiles back on Fabienne's face too.
16 years of age, Ruhan Alva, another driver of less maturity, might have thrown in the towel at that point there and then, and would have thrown their toys out the pram and said, well, this isn't going to happen. But he fought with that car, tried to get it restarted, managed to find the gears, and has come through to charge into second position. A very cool head on that young man's shoulders.
Absolutely is, and I really feel for these guys, the Speed Demons Delhi, because Shan Ali Mohsin, winner in Chennai, unfortunately at the back of the grid and didn't really have the easiest of races, even though he was quick on track. But for Alistair Young, for Nikhil Bora, wins in that car, impressive wins at that, from lights to flag. Ruhan Alva, the rest of that side, Godspeed Kochi, they will be absolutely thrilled.
Well, let's head down to pit lane, where Ziggy himself, Xerxes Varia, is going to grab a word with our winning crew for the second race in a row, Nikhil Bora and Alistair Young. They are unstoppable here on the streets of Hyderabad.
We are here with P1 once again. It's a Nikhil Alistair. Wow, how was that race? How dominant was that race?
Yeah, well, we had a good start. It was 1-2 with me and Ruhan, so I didn't have to do so much to put it in front of him. And we discussed before the race to kind of just a bit calm, street circuit, half wet, half dry. We didn't want to take too much risk, but he had an issue. I think he's the star of the show today. His engine switched off. He did a power cycle, switched it back on, and he was in P6. He came all the way back to second. So I really think he should be the one doing this interview. But, you know, I mean, once that happened, we were 20 plus seconds clear of the rest of the field, and I knew I didn't have to do a lot. And we've been having mechanical issues throughout the season, so I didn't want to risk anything, but, you know, we ended up in a good position, P1, so.
And Alistair, we're back on the podium. I mean, what a weekend this has been for you guys. How do you feel about this?
The weekend's not done yet. We got one more to go. 2 down, 1 to go. But Nico did an awesome job, you know, controlling the pace. And Ruhan, absolute legend, bringing it back into P2. So yeah, 1-2 for the team. Lots of points to take home. And yeah, we got 1 more to go. Let's see how we do in the championship.
Any plans for the feature race that we should know about?
Well, we're 1-2 again, so just control the field, and I'm not going to tell you anything more, so. Bye.
All right, I'm with Rohan and Fabian. Congratulations, guys. That was an epic race. What just happened here with the P2 battle?
Yeah, we had an issue midway through the race. The first half was pretty decent. I was keeping up with Nikhil, following him through, just wanted the 1-2 for the team. So didn't want to try anything reckless. And then on the exit of the second corner, my engine just died. And I thought the race was over. I tried starting it 3 times, it did not switch on. And I had to switch off the main, switch it on again, and that time luckily it started. So when it started, I knew I was like P5 or P6, I think, and I knew I just had to keep attacking. And it worked out. Attacked a lot, was really aggressive, and it worked out for P2.
You know, there was a similar pattern. Fabian, your car stalled in the previous race, and the same thing happened, and he started at P2, went to P5, P6, and went back to P2. It's been something similar, but you covered up really well for her, I must say. Are you feeling good about that?
Yeah, it was a different issue. We still have an issue with the car, 2 issues with the car actually. Hopefully they're fixed for the future race, because it was quite a big problem. And if it's fixed for the future race, I think we can do 1-2 again for Team Kochi.
All right, congratulations guys once again, and all the best. Well, back to the studio right now.
Now with the double overtakes, but still it is Nikhil. Again for Kochi Sohail. This is just a roll like no other.
Yeah, this was really impressive. I think overall for Nikhil Bora and Ruhan Alva, brilliant drives from them. But Kevin Miroka as well, a word on him, because the combination of him and Gabby, we saw Gabby on the podium in the previous race. Kevin Miroka backing that up with the podium for themselves. So for Godspeed Kochi, they're in the driver's seat in terms of taking the title away from the Blackbirds Hyderabad side in Hyderabad. And great setting here for the podium too. Alistair Young, another visit to the podium, to the top step of that podium. He was there for his win earlier in the day. He was there last weekend in Chennai, and he's back up at the top alongside Nikhil Bora once more. And that's turning out to be a really potent driver combination also for Ruhan Alva and for someone like Fabienne, who missed out on a podium. Lovely scenes for her. And also, as we said earlier, Kevin Miroka. Good drive from him, driving from 6th, 7th in that pack, pounding through, using all the experience of the world in tricky conditions to finish on the podium and give Gabby a well-deserved podium. I think she's needed that, she's wanted that, and it's a bit of redemption for her from the previous race too.
And it's incredible. Goa Aces now have 3 podiums from this week. Yep. But what happens in the big feature race? Let's find out after a quick break. So this is it, ladies and gentlemen, the grand finale of the Indian Racing League at the Hyderabad International Circuit. Blackbirds Hyderabad topping the table, but that, Sohail, could change.
That could change, and let's just take you through that lineup there. Godspeed Kochi, hot on their trails, and I think they are the favourites to go on and win the title of the inaugural Indian Racing League. Goa Aces have done a great job as well. Amir Syed, Sohail Shah in that setup. You've got Kevin Miroka in the side as well, doing a good job alongside Gabby. But for the Bangalore Speedsters, it's been a struggle this weekend. But just want to explain to everyone, for the Blackbirds Hyderabad, the reason they're also on the back foot, apart from Neil Jani not being around, is that Lola Lowenfoss isn't here because she is away battling an illness. She's in the hotel room. Unfortunately, she won't be driving, and therefore, for Anindit Reddy, he's got to score points, not just for himself, but for the rest of the team, and only his points will count. So they'll only get half the points from the feature race, so that already puts them completely on the back foot in terms of when that title race comes together at the end and the points are tallied up. I just think Godspeed Kochi have an even better shot, given that one car for Hyderabad will only score half points.
And momentum is frankly on Godspeed Kochi's side as well. They've got such a great round of results. 1-2 in the second one, and then of course in the first sprint race, unfortunately Fabian had a bit of issues. But the best part is they're getting to see pace. And Blackbirds Hyderabad, they know we're up in the top 3. They're consistently around P4, P5, which is respectable considering Tom Canning's just come in the car. But they need a big win now.
Well, they do, and I don't know if it's going to come easy because you've got a 1-2 for Kochi at the start. And I think the only hope really is if Akash Gowda or Kevin Miroka decide to lunge down the inside going into turn 1. And I hope they don't. I hope things are kept clean. We can just see over my shoulder the cars starting to head to the grid for the big feature race coming your way. But I just think that there's enough might and enough talent for Godspeed Kochi to stay out ahead. A 1-2 is not an easy opportunity for the cars behind to overcome, and especially for someone like the Blackbirds Hyderabad side. They've got one car at the back of the grid, they've got one car in the midfield, and I think that midfield is going to be where there's a bit of argy-bargy, there's a bit of the shoulders coming out, and Akhil Rabindra starts in 5th on the 3rd row alongside Amir Syed, so massive challenge I think for the Blackbirds Hyderabad.
And the important part, Sohail, also is that Godspeed Kochi now have the best qualifying positions. They start for this feature race 1 and 2. So even though they have to make a driver swap, they've got both cars covered with 4 incredibly great drivers. And that is essentially what you need at the end, right?
And I think the key is they've got all 4 drivers who are really, really good. Like you said, you've got Nikhil Bora and Ruhan Alva starting this race, but you've still got Fabian Volven to come. You've got Alistair Jung to come. Both of them have been fantastic. Alistair high on confidence after a win earlier today. So I think they've got every box covered. You've also got to think about the bigger picture because I think going into that first corner, they've got to be very smart about it. If Nikhil Bora and Ruhan Alva have had a chat with each other, I think it'll be important for them to make sure they're very clear in their plans. If one driver's down the inside, let him be there. The other should take the outside line. Cover all ground possible so that Kevin Miroka and Akash Gowda from behind can't make a lunge into the first corner.
Well, all these permutations and combinations are going to be very interesting to watch. But first, folks, we've got to go for a quick break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the grand finale of the IRL. This is it. We've only got one more race to decide the champions of the inaugural season, and this, Suhail, is the grid that the race 3 will have.
And it all starts with Nikhil Bora on pole. You've got his teammate Ruhan Alva alongside him. Fabian will jump into the car later, as will Alistair Young after the pit stop, which is mandatory for the driver swap. You've got Akash Gowda and Shahan in third spot on the second row. Alongside them, Kevin Miroka. Then on the third row, Akhil Rabindra for the Hyderabad side alongside Amir Said, Mitch Gilbert, and then the Chennai car of Nicole Havada. It is a tricky grid position for the rest of the pack, but out in front, Godspeed Kochi looking good.
But what's the energy like on the grid? Here's Xerxes Wadi to tell us more about it.
Hi, we are at the start of the feature race, and this is the final race of the Indian Racing League. And right now I'm talking to Akhil Ravindra and Tom from Blackbirds Hyderabad. This team is currently in the lead, and a lot is riding in this race to hold on to this lead. What's the strategy, Akhil?
Strategy is simple. We have 2 cars racing. We want to finish as high as possible. There are a lot of good drivers today, and everyone seems to be in form. It's a bit damp here and there, so we got to be careful. But primarily, get both cars into the points as high up and good pit stop.
And Tom, you're replacing Neil because he couldn't be with us this weekend, and this is only your third race. No pressure?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big seat to fill, as people keep telling me. But yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm trying to pick the car up as quickly as possible, and I feel like I've got a good handle on it now. So yeah, we're going for a result, and hopefully we can get Akhil the championship win.
And let's hope you make it to the very front of the grid. Best of luck. We're going to throw back to the studio.
So, there's one thing I'm very, very curious about now is what must be on the minds of Akhil Rabindra and Tom Canning. Because now, Suhail, they know that their teammates can't score any points. Their championship is on the line here.
Yeah, it is on the line, and I think for them there's a bit of added responsibility because they know their second car with Anindit Reddy in the car there will only score half points, and so much more pressure for these guys to really put on a good show, try and get a podium for themselves, and even that they know may not even be enough.
That's true. And now this just essentially puts the Godspeed Kochi team as the favourites. But let's not forget, Suhail, most of these drivers, barring Fabian Wolfman, are proper youngsters. Yeah. Ruhan 17, I think Nikhil Bora 17, Alistair is 19. They haven't got that much experience of a championship winning drive per se. So do you think that'll weigh heavy on their minds that they can see greatness and almost touch it?
You know, I think the boys are so fearless. As we take a look at Ramcharan on our grid as well, he's loving the cars out on circuit. We saw some supercars on track earlier as well. And he's one of those guys that absolutely loves being out here. Anindit Reddy, a local lad in Hyderabad. He's someone that unfortunately will be starting at the back of the grid. But for someone like Ramcharan, it's also nice for him to see that there's his own city of Hyderabad that's rallying behind the IRL. Hyderabad's taken to it. They're loving it. Lots of crowds pouring in to watch these fantastic cars. They sound thunderous as well, the Wolf cars. So it puts a chill in your spine. It's great to watch. And I think it's good to see the RRR star come here to get some vrooming action.
Oh, absolutely. And at the center of it all are all the drivers. And now here's Xerxes Wadi with a couple of them.
Hi, we are here with Kevin and Gabriella from Goa Aces, who've had a phenomenal day today. Like P2 in race 1. P3 in race 2, and now you're starting 4th in the feature race. Pressure? No pressure?
I felt the pressure actually, but now in the feature race we just want to do more. It will be really tough. It will be a long race. The strategy is another thing, so a lot of things can happen, but I promised for a good show. And I think we are getting somewhere to good show, huh?
Yeah, I think I might be interviewing you again. I mean, you are starting at P4, not too far. But Gabriella, you've been very, very impressive on the track. I guess you're starting the race and then you're going to switch. A lot of things happen every time there's a switch on the feature race. What are your preventive strategies for that this time?
Yeah, to don't make any mistakes. I think that's the most important thing. Make it on the right time, and yeah, push. Then for me, since the beginning in the first lap. So yeah.
Like I always say to you guys, no pressure. Back to the studio.
Amazing to hear from Gabriella Yilkova and Kevin Miroka, and they could well be the dark horses, Suhail.
Yeah, they could be the party spoilers because while you've got those two young guys at the front in Ruhan Alva and Nikhil Bora, there will be an air of caution about them because they've got first and second in the bag. They've got the title on their mind as well. And if Kevin Miroka decides to go for the kill early, I think there lies the opportunity for the Goa Aces because for them, they look at this as an absolute easy no pressure race. They've got nothing on their backs. I don't think they can really catch second or first. And therefore for them, there is nothing to hold Kevin Miroka back. Gabby back later in the race. So I just think they've got to watch their backs. Godspeed, Kochi. They've got first and second. But Kevin Miroka, I think, will make a move early because he knows going to that first corner, he's going to be blocked by both those cars trying to widen themselves going to that first right-hander.
And Sohail, one thing I'm very curious about is the driver swaps as well, because now we've not quite seen this happen at this very weekend, but so far in the IRL, that's also been a major point of contention, where in the feature race, you come in the pit window, change drivers in a 3-minute window, and sometimes you can end up losing time over there, even though there's a minimum time limit.
And I'll tell you where it gets tricky. It's going to get tricky for the Godspeed Kochi side. Now you see Chaitanya here as well. He loves his cars, loves his bikes. I've had the pleasure of spending some time with him with some of his cars, and he absolutely loves them to bits. So you got guys like Ramcharan, Chaitanya in here, local guys from this region of Hyderabad, and they really actually are proper petrol heads themselves. So for them to come and see these Wolf cars in on display in the flesh as well, it's very different because both those guys would have driven some tremendous cars over the years, whether it's in their movies or just for fun in their Sunday drives. But to see cars and machinery like this in the able hands of these racing drivers, it's still a proper thrill for them. So just coming back to the driver swap question that you were talking about, I think what gets tricky is for Godspeed Kochi because you can't double stack as well. So if you've got two cars coming into the pits at the same time, they're not allowed to double stack because you've got to stay stationary for 3 minutes. So again, I think one car is going to have to sacrifice itself, and maybe if we see a safety car come out, one car is definitely diving in, and I think that's going to play into the mix a little bit. Maybe that's the one opening that the Blackbirds Hyderabad side have to try and jump ahead in the pit stops.
And we have seen before that Blackbirds Hyderabad are good with their tactics, good with their strategy. So that could be their major advantage. But you spoke about something interesting. Safety cars.
Yeah.
Of course, being a street circuit, the walls are always around you. It's like you're in a little tunnel vision kind of thing. But what do you reckon will that have? Because the walls are so close. One area, you're not in the grass, you're in the wall. Game over.
Well, really simple. Think back to the last weekend in Chennai and at the Madras International Circuit when we had the safety car come out. We actually had Akhil Rabindra pound out a couple of really quick laps. And what that did was actually allow himself to put himself in the mix for the lead. A nice moment there for Arman and the promoters of the league as well, alongside Ramcharan, who's loving life on the grid. And even for someone like Ramcharan, as I said earlier, he's seen the best of cars and in the most exotic places around the world, wherever he goes to shoot. But even for him, I think there's a level of pride to see these cars, these drivers, on the streets of Hyderabad. There's a lot of patriotism when it comes to even the local patriotism of a lot of these guys here. So a lovely moment for him, a lovely moment for the IRL too.
It's fantastic. It is fantastic. And the best part is, this is in the middle of the very city. This, Sohail, feels like a dream. It's almost too good to be true. I love it, right? Because now it's so accessible for everybody. And also, these are actual public roads that you could go there and drive tomorrow, for all we know.
Yeah, I think when you sort of understand the might of what we've put together here, I think everyone will start to understand how important this weekend becomes. For these young guys, though, we were talking earlier about the pressure element of being title contenders. They're just fearless, though. They're absolutely fearless when it comes to what they want to achieve in their careers. For some of these guys like Nikhil Bora, he set his sights much higher. He wants to use this as a platform to build into other categories around the world. For a lot of them as well, I think Ruhan Alva, again, age on their sides. And I think there's a lot that they could potentially gain from this in terms of experience and confidence, and then take that forward.
Absolutely. That, I think, could be the legacy of the Indian Racing League in the long run. But, Sohail, I'm very curious about your predictions all the way as it goes through. Because the grid is tricky. We've seen elements like strategy come in, safety cars could come in. What would be your prediction for this final feature race, the last race of the season?
Yeah, for me, I think Godspeed Kochi are going to be title winners at the end of it. I just think they've got enough consistency. I think they're just an incredible set of young drivers. They've got a little bit of a blend of experience in there as well. So for me, Godspeed Kochi for the win.
Okay, now that we've got that prediction, let's actually see who Sukhmani is with right now.
I have the biggest superstar of India with me right now. The track is on fire. The superstar Ramcharan, how are you doing today?
How are you? Having a blast. I can't believe this is our city. Hyderabad has been converted into a beautiful track, and I'm so proud.
So, this is the first time in the country ever that the streets have been converted into a circuit. It's happening for the first time. How do you feel? Are you proud of the city?
All I can say, I've wished IRL all the best for having this, putting this beautiful thing together. The first Indian streets race, and that too happening in Hyderabad, 6 cities. It can't get even better than this.
Can't get better than this. I'm going to ask him a tough question right now. Which is your favorite team?
Obviously Hyderabad, but I heard Kochi is leading. I wish all the teams all the best, but Hyderabad, you have a special place in my heart.
All right, and I love the look here, I must say, absolutely setting the whole track on fire, fitting the situation. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you. All right, bye.
Wow, amazing to see Ramcharan right here on the grid, but it feels amazing that these stars are right out here at the RL to promote the event, isn't it?
But the funny thing is, he doesn't feel like a star when he's here. He actually thinks that the cars and the other drivers are the stars, and that's how it should be. Any league around the country, whether it's the Kabaddi League or the Football League or this, I think the stars have to be the athletes themselves, the machinery themselves. And I think it's only right that he sort of feels a little daunted by what he's seeing around him. He's loving life, and he's loving the fact that it's come to Hyderabad, but he isn't the star of the show here, and I think he likes it that way. He's here, he's promoting it, he's supporting the league, and I think it's really, really nice to see someone like him in Hyderabad, in his hometown, enjoying himself.
But it is fantastic. Suhail has given his prediction. Suhail, you have gone for Godspeed Kochi.
I have.
I'm just for the sake of diversity going to go for Blackbirds Hyderabad. But what happens in this final race, the decider for the Indian Racing League? Let's find out after the break.
And so we come to the final race of the Indian Racing League season 2022 on the streets of Hyderabad. It's an all Godspeed Kochi front row with Nikhil Bora and Ruhan Alva kicking off the race. Third on the grid, it is going to be Akash Gowda leading off for the Speed Demons Delhi car, and then Kevin Miroka for Goa Aces. Akhil Ravindra will lead the charge for the Hyderabad Blackbirds, then MS Sayed for Goa Aces. Mitch Gilbert will be alongside Nicole Havada, and then John Lancaster and the missing Oliver Webb. Sadly, the Bangalore Speedsters car number 4 will not take the start due to crash damage sustained in qualifying. And Indit Reddy will line up 11th on the grid, the sole contender in the number 10 Blackbirds Hyderabad team. And Rishon Rajiv and Bianca Bustamante have just got their car out onto the starting grid. The last race of the season then on this momentous and historic weekend on the streets of Hyderabad. I'm Jake Sanson, beside me is Sohail Chandok. This is what we've been waiting for.
It is, and the stars have arrived as well. Nice to see Naga Chaitanya here in the house. He's someone who loves his cars. He's a petrol head himself, and spent a fair bit of time with him, and he absolutely loves it. So for those guys to turn up here in their hometown and see these cars on the tracks of Hyderabad, the streets of Hyderabad, it is such a proud moment. We heard from Ramcharan earlier as well, and for those who know and love motorsport, it's very special. For those who are just getting their first taste of it, it's just as nice, especially right here in Hyderabad. One final time at the Indian Racing League for the first feature race on a street circuit.
So a little bit of housekeeping. We told you already that the number 4 car, the Bangalore Speedsters machine of Oliver Webb and Anshul Gandhi, would not be taking up the start due to crash damage in qualifying. Neither of the Speed Demons Delhi cars are on the grid either. They were hoping to do a quick gearbox change for Mitch Gilbert in his car because the number 12 machine just kept dropping into neutral for both Mitch Gilbert and Celia Martin, in fact. So they've been trying to get that car done again.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes, but we've got Sukhmani downstairs. I think she's got Naga Chaitanya with her.
Okay, the tracks were already on fire, but now we have the actor Che looking absolutely dashing, making the tracks get even hotter. Well, how are you feeling today? What do you have to say about the racing league?
Well, this is quite a spectacular moment, honestly, because when I was in college, growing up in Hyderabad, we used to drive around this street, yes, and we were like, oh my God, if this was a track one day, it would be brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's quite a moment for me to actually see a race happening here, and the league has been great. I've been following it. They've pulled off something amazing. Really competitive, really exciting for a motorsport enthusiast like me in India. It's amazing to see something like this happen on the street.
Jay, this could have been your own manifestation, would turn out to be true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So this is India's first, street racing that's happening. Do you feel proud? Any feedback? Any inputs?
Yeah, it's great. It's definitely a proud moment. I mean, street races are much more exciting than the track for me because you feel much more closer to the cars. It's very personal. You know the streets, and looking at a race happening on those same streets is magical.
My last thing to him is keep dreaming and keep manifesting, because obviously his dreams are coming true. So well done. Thank you so much. Thank you from Hyderabad.
Thank you.
See you. All right, back to the comm right now.
Thank you to Sukhmani Sedana, chatting there with the star and actor Naga Chaitanya. Amazing to see that we really have drawn in the big names here on the streets of Hyderabad.
We are, and guys who are passionate about the sport. It's not just anyone. It's Chaitanya and Ramcharan who are absolute stars here in the land of films in Hyderabad and in Andhra Pradesh, but also two guys who love their cars, self-attested motorheads and petrol heads themselves. So really nice to see a guy like him who says, I've driven on these streets growing up, and it's so special for him to then see the conversion of that to what it is today. Oh, hang on, slowing car of Chennai.
Well, that was close. I think we almost had a stalled engine there for John Lancaster of the Chennai Turbo Riders. He has now got it running. To go back to what we were saying before, it looks like Mitch Gilbert and Celia Martin will not take the start. They've had a gearbox issue coming into this one. They tried to change the gearbox, and it doesn't look like it's happened in time. And Akash Gowda and Shahan Ali Mohsin are not on the grid. They have no idea what the problem is with their car.
Yeah, I really feel for them, because Speed Demons Delhi, remember, came off with a win in Chennai. They were feeling really good, top of the world, and so quickly, unfortunately, this sport can drag you back down to earth very, very swiftly, and that's exactly what's happened. But for Godspeed Kochi, these two young lads at the front of the grid, they'll want to keep it that way and give them the title.
23.5 points to make up in the championship fight for Godspeed Kochi. This is their moment to steal the title for the guys in blue, white and black, away from the Hyderabad Blackbirds. In the next 35 minutes, plus the additional lap, we'll find out who's going to get the job done. It's going to be a fascinating duel as the contenders are gearing up, ready for a showcase. And now we are in position, ready to take the start. Who's going to get the victory? It's a false start. The lights do not go out. So they will go around for an additional formation lap. And I think that's because there are a couple of cars out of position on the start. I noticed that John Lancaster was trying to get his car going, and his car was out of position, so they'll have to go around another time.
So hold your breath, guys. I know it was close.
Ooh.
Strap yourselves in, and that also is another problem. It's the home side, the Hyderabad side, and that is a huge, huge issue.
That is Akhil Rabindra for the Hyderabad Blackbirds. And if he's not even going to take the start of the race, then that surely is the championship gone for the current championship leaders. And look, Alistair Young and Fabian Volvens know it. They can't believe their luck.
Yeah, wry smile from Fabian, not so, but he's got going again. That is good news. Anindit has got, Akhil Rabindra rather, has got going. I just wonder, Jake, last time around we saw Anindit Reddy actually be disqualified because he got assistance. I just hope there was no assistance from the officials. Hopefully he will be allowed to take the start.
But the big problem is now he's got to try and catch up to the back of the field as quickly as possible, and they're going to be about half a lap behind as the race gets underway. It looks like the gates are opening and the floods are going to come the way of Godspeed Kochi.
Also, secondly, there's no in-driver to pit communication, so does he take his old spot back? Does he stay at the back of the grid? He'll be a bit confused as well.
Well, John Lancaster seems to be running up in third position. He should be starting from 9th place on the grid.
Naughty, John, naughty.
Well, he's clearly thought, well, it's my birthday. I want to go for the win, so I don't care anymore. I'm going to go for it. Well, I have a feeling he's going to get a penalty for that potentially, but we'll have to wait and let the officials do what they want to do. But they want to give us a good show.
And that's why you've got Kevin Miroka as well saying, hang on, let me through, because...
Oh no! That's the number 2! Nikhil Bora! The pole position sitter has stopped! Nikhil Bora, the car has stopped on the main straight! I can't believe it! They only had to take the victory and they would be crowned the champions. And now Anindit Reddy is not moving either. It's another false start. What on earth is going on? And for Nikhil Bora and Alistair Young, their car conks out to a stop on the penultimate straight before the grid. I can't believe it.
That, with a championship on the line, could be catastrophic for the Godspeed Kochi team. Ruhan Alva still out there in front, but the man who was on pole, Nikhil Bora, who alongside Alistair Young were the favourites, there he is, he's got the car going again. And it's just carnage, it's carnage before the race has even begun.
This is going to be one of those races, isn't it, folks? It's going to be a nightmare to work out. Red flags, red flags.
That's what I'd call it.
Yeah, I think it is. When there's a little bit of confusion, when cars are out of position, the only thing to do is to bring the cars back to the starting grid and grid up once again. So, well, we had so much drama before we even got a racing lap in.
And imagine, this is the first dry race we're going to get in Hyderabad. We've seen 2 wet sprint races. It's the first entirely dry race, and we thought, hang on, we might get a little less drama with the drying track and conditions that are normal, but there's never an absence of drama at the IRL.
Well, if you are in the Speed Demons Delhi crew, all of a sudden, you've got a second chance of getting your cars out on the circuit, so it's all hands to the spanners. It's probably down in pure chaos mode at Speed Demons Delhi because they have a second chance to make the grid.
That's a great point, because they'll have the opportunity to work on those cars. All these cars will now again line up on the grid, and now no longer big smiles on those faces. They are nervy because suddenly Alistair Young looks at Nikhil Bora's car and goes, hang on, will I even get a jump in there later in the race?
He's so lucky they brought out the red flags. They'll go over what the situation was. This championship may not be so easy to determine. Godspeed Kochi, all they needed to do was pick up the win in the 3 races and the title was theirs. It ain't going to be quite so clear cut.
And Jake, I'm still wondering how John Lancaster decided to line up on the second row, because that to me is completely perplexing. I mean, he's 9th. He was 9th on the grid, and he suddenly slotted into 3rd. Surely something's off there, and he's going to get a few words from the officials, because even though there was no Akash Gowda on the grid, yes, Akhil Rabindra parked on the side, that's still only 2 cars. Mitch Gilbert not there in the mix as well. So he thought he could have jumped a few spots, but there's still guys like Kevin Miroka, Nicole Havada, Amir Syed and Sohail Shah. John, control yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. He made up way too many on-track positions for the restart. And the officials will want to have a quick word with John Lancaster. What do you think you were playing at there, John? He's probably feeling a little bit festive after his birthday yesterday. A whole of the drivers shared it with him. Well, this is worthy of a Bollywood epic, isn't it? We've got all sorts of amazing people in the crowd, and we're getting a very exciting battle out there on the track for them.
Yeah, the world of Tollywood, actually. Jake, I'm going to educate you.
Oh, yes, that's true. I do apologise, because it's to do with the different areas, isn't it?
Absolutely. Fantastic to see stars from RRR.
Yeah,
Nagar
there you go.
As well.
There you go. Mitch Gilbert suddenly has a second chance to get back in the car. Come on, get the car together. Get your race suit on, get your helmet on. You've got another chance to get the car on the grid.
Put any helmet on at this stage. Just get out there. Celia Mata has a smile on her face saying, okay, we might have a chance here. Akash Gowda in the background isn't getting up, however.
Yeah, it looks as though whatever problem befell the number 11 car, it's terminal, because they're not going to go any further. Mitch Gilbert thinks, never mind, whatever, I'm going to give it a go. If it holds together, it holds together. If it doesn't, at least we gave it a try.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Celia Martin still has a smile on her face, which is nice to see, because catching up with her earlier today, she was really disappointed having to bow out of a race with no fault of her own. He is going to jump in this car, and they will hope like hell that it just gets to the finish line, because this Speed Demons Delhi car has had all sorts of issues this weekend.
Well, they'll probably have to start this race from the back of the grid, whatever happens. So it's a bit of a treacherous situation for them. Oh, they'll probably have to start from the pit lane, to be honest. Yeah, pit lane start. So Mitch Gilbert is going for it, but you've got to feel for Akash Gowda and Shahan Ali Mohsin to know that the car isn't even going to go anywhere with a second chance.
Especially coming off a win last weekend in Chennai. Shahan Ali Mohsin with a lights to flag win there would have come into this weekend brimming with confidence, and did not even get to start this feature race, the first ever feature race on a street circuit in India. That is disappointing for him. Having said that though, we'll have a grid reshuffle. So bear with us for a bit, because all sorts have gone on in the first part of this race, even before we've seen the green lights go.
Well, as you can see there, the 5-minute board is going up. They will get an extra formation lap. So, well, the tension and the drama was already fever pitch here on the streets of Hyderabad. John Lancaster clearly feeling, well, I've got a gap now between myself and everybody else, because I'm the only person on the inside line, because he had Nikhil Bora pull off, he had Akash Gowda not start, he had Akhil Ravindra pull off, and Mitch Gilbert not start. Let's remind you of the team leaderboard going into this final race, and let's also remind you that it's double points and both drivers score points in the feature. So that means that if the Godspeed Kochi team take the win, they will score 100 points today.
Exactly, so it's 50 points for the win, but because there's two drivers sharing the car, it's 50 plus 50. Having said that though, let's just remind you that the Blackbirds Hyderabad, their side will only score a max of 50, because they don't have points for the second driver.
And check out the battle for fourth place, because you've got 10 and a half points between those three teams. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating as they battle away for this title, and it'll be best of the rest for fourth.
Well, we'll take a short breather here as the cars have lined up once again. We will have that extra formation lap, but the feature race around the corner. Take a short breather. We'll come right back.
Drama and tension has already coloured this Indian Racing League season finale 2022 on the streets of Hyderabad, the first ever Indian street race. And what a battle it has been so far. We haven't even started yet, and we've already had a red flag, 2 formation laps, and utter chaos. Jake Sanson and Suhail Chandok with you. They are going to get the race restarted, but there's already some problems over the 2 main title contending cars. Both Nikhil Bora and Akhil Rabindra struggling to get their cars even moving on the formation lap.
So the update from race control also is that it will be a 30-minute race now and not a 35-minute race. It'll be 30 minutes plus 1 lap. So when the clock runs down at 30 minutes, you'll then have 1 lap after the lead driver crosses the finish line. And it's nice to see that the Godspeed Kochi cars are back on the front row. So Nikhil Bora got the car going again. He is on the front row alongside Ruhan Alva. It is a proper battle for the championship. You can see that green and black car of the Blackbirds Hyderabad also on the grid. There is a missing link, which is obviously the Speed Demons Delhi unit, but it actually offers the Hyderabad side an opportunity to try and get some points in here.
It's also worth pointing out that there are 10.5 points between the bottom 3 teams in the Indian Racing League. So any one of those teams could take 4th place. You've got the Bangalore Speedsters, Speed Demons Delhi, and you've also got the team from Chennai Turbo Riders. All of them separated by 10.5 points. Whichever team does the best in this feature race of those 3 teams is going to come through to finish 4th in the standings. And at the moment, that looks like it's Chennai Turbo Riders, just by virtue of the fact that they're going to have 2 cars on the grid. Bangalore Speedsters only has 1 car on the grid, and as it stands at the moment, Speed Demons Delhi aren't going to take the start at all.
Yeah, for some teams it is disappointing, obviously, given what's happened with a crash in qualifying, with a few mechanical issues for a couple of the cars, but the guys at the front of the grid haven't done anything wrong all weekend. They've not put a foot wrong, be it qualifying, be it the sprint races. Godspeed Kochi have been simply superb. Alistair Young with a win in the sprint, and then it was backed up by his teammate Nikhil Bora in the second sprint. Ruhan Alva, brilliant race from him. I thought he was the driver of the day in that second sprint race. He started second, was coasting in second, had an issue, dropped to 5th, came back to second, and it gave Fabienne a podium as a result as well, and a well-deserved one for her after she had to retire with mechanical issues. So overall, the best team on the weekend is slotting into that front row.
Well, Godspeed Kochi did not need the drama of having a car broken down on the grid. And there's Mitch Gilbert making his way to the grid. Now, that's interesting because he's taken that decision rather late. I would have thought he'd have to start from the pit lane, but he's brought the car onto the starting grid.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether he at least has to start at the back of the grid. Yeah, I think they are now hauling him backwards. So, good try, good try.
Nice.
Mitch, why not?
That was very Hans Heyer, wasn't it? There was a fabulous story in the 1977 German Grand Prix where Hans Heyer became the only driver in history to have a DNQ, a DSQ, a DNS and a DNF all in the same race, because he wasn't supposed to start the race. He decided to anyway because he failed to qualify, so he wasn't meant to start, and then he retired from the race and then was disqualified at the same time.
It's not a record you want to have on your name, that's for sure.
No, it's not.
But here we go, extra formation lap as we said earlier.
One of the Goa races isn't moving. That is the number 8. So I'm afraid Amir Syed is struggling to get off the grid. It looks to me as though one of the Goa races cars is going nowhere.
And they're third in the championship, remember. The Goa Aces, on the second row, but the Goa Aces were in third in the championship. They had an outside opportunity to actually maybe even win this thing, but that is disappointing, and maybe and hopefully we'll see him get the car going, Amir Syed. We've seen that with a few of the other cars. Can't see him just yet though.
Well, let's put it this way. In terms of the mathematics, if any one team claims a 1-2 plus a fastest lap, that's 173 points scored. So for any team in the top 3, this is still doable. It's still on.
100%. It is properly on, and we know that when it's motorsport, even if you are the quickest driver out there, even if you've had the perfect qualifying session and you are putting in lap after lap, that is brilliant. Anything could happen to your car, to that machinery. You're in the hands of the unknown sometimes, and till you cross that finish line, it is anybody's guess.
Nothing's done, nothing's certain. Every single car is vulnerable to mechanical difficulties, and every driver out there knows that nothing is a guarantee. So now the competitors are gearing themselves up, ready for the start. They're under rolling start positions again, and this time they're in the right positions.
Jake Amir Syed is making a dart forward again. He did go to the back, and he's come back to his old slot. Kevin Mirocca now seems to be slowing.
No!
Oh. Yeah, oh God, more drama.
And now Nicole Haverda's doing exactly the same thing, as is Akhil Rabindra. Now they've got going again, but it looks like Rishon Rajiv is stalled on the circuit. Now he's got moving.
What is going on?
Oh dear, these cars are not easy to run at slow formation. So let's see, are we going to go racing again this time?
Nope.
Well, it's very tricky to determine how they're going to come through on this occasion. But again, they're out of position, and again, Kevin Mirocca slowing. So again, a false start. That's the third false start for the feature race this afternoon. And now Rishon Rajiv gets moving in the Bangalore Speedsters number 3. This is the race that nobody wants to start.
I think they should just pick a different part of the lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Because at this stage, it's like the cars look at those lights come on and go, oh, hang on, I'm nervous, I don't want to get going. It's unfortunate, but, you know, sometimes it's just out of your control. These drivers aren't doing anything wrong. It's the cars under them, unfortunately, mechanically, that seem to just give them a couple of issues at this stage. We haven't seen it all weekend, so it's a bit weird that it's all come together here at the start of the feature race.
There is already so much tension and drama. We certainly didn't need any more. So for the third time of asking, we get a false start. Now Kevin Mirocca's finally got the car going, so he can get it back into his original grid slot. So that is what he will do. He will get back into 4th position on the grid. Akhil Rabindra, of course, is meant to form up in front of Amir Syed. But it looks as though Akhil Rabindra has got his hand in the air again. Akhil Rabindra with his hand in the air. The car is not going anywhere. And this is Hyderabad Blackbird's title fight over, surely. If he can't get the car started properly, then Akhil Rabindra...
And now he's moving, Jake.
Yeah, he is moving, but he's at the back of the field, and now Rishon Rajiv is struggling. They just need to get this race started. When they're at racing speed, these cars are fine.
We've seen more overtakes before the lights have gone green
well,
than we have all weekend.
Absolutely, that's a bit difficult, isn't it? It's been a chaotic opening 3 formation laps. Now we've got a 4th. Rabindra trying to get himself back into position. The thing is, these cars are rapid, and at racing speeds, they are fantastic. At slow speeds, they are very difficult to handle. So they just need to get across the start-finish line in formation, and we've got a great race on our hands.
So let's just remind you, we are still on a formation lap. We've had that a few times. That's why the cars have overtaken one another and got back into their grid slots.
If at first you don't succeed, try, and try again. But now, I think we're going to be able to go racing. Godspeed Kochi dominating the front row. Mirocca on the second row alone. Then it is Rabindra, Syed, Gilbert and Havada. Are we going to go racing this time? It is obviously now racing. Here we go. And it's a great start from Ruan Alba. He's actually going to give a little bit of pressure to Nikhil Bora through the first turn. Rabindra, 4th position, followed in by John Lancaster, who goes wheel to wheel with Amir Syed. They go there into position, and Syed has to concede. So Lancaster in the Chennai Turbo Riders number 6 through into 5th position, and a late break from Ruan Alba. Too late on the brakes, it turns out, and a spin from Rabindra. Rabindra in the Blackbirds Hyderabad car has spun it at the hairpin.
That is huge, and Kevin Mirocca, meanwhile, at the front, has slotted into 2nd. It's a big mistake from Ruan Alba, because all they had to do was park their cars down the inside, those 2 Godspeed Kochi cars. Now he's got work to do to try and get back ahead of Kevin Mirocca in that Go Aces. But Akhil Rabindra's spin means even worse for the local side, the Blackbird Hyderabad, and he hasn't got going yet. This is disastrous.
Safety car has been called. Let's see how it happened. He got in close behind. Look, Alva had taken the lead there, but outbraked himself. And watch Rabindra. He actually gets clouted by the Chennai Turbo Riders of John Lancaster as the cluster effect came into the braking zone. Concertina effect, basically. They came onto the brakes, and Lancaster had nowhere to go, completely not intentional, but he just clipped Akhil Rabindra's car, and now Rabindra has stalled it. He was asking for outside assistance, which of course you cannot have.
Yeah, and I don't think John Lancaster is going to be a popular man in Hyderabad, that's for sure. He's driving for the Chennai Turbo Riders, and again in the background, just saw one car pull off to the side, and it seemed like a Bangalore car.
Well, there's only one Bangalore car, and they're still running, so I would guess that it's the easy to mistake it for Speed Demons Delhi car of Mitch Gilbert, who started from the pit lane.
And goes back into the pit lane, unfortunately for them. So we've got the safety car out. We've got Kevin Miroka now splitting the two Godspeed Kochi cars out in front. Still Nikhil Bora, who's on pole at the front of the grid. You've got Ruhan Alva after that mistake in third. But critically, Akhil Rabindra isn't in the top 5 after that spin. And as Jake, as you pointed out, if he is pushed by the marshals, if he's given assistance, we've already seen one disqualification for his teammate Anindit Reddy in the sprint race.
And of course, if you're disqualified, you score 0 points. If Godspeed Kochi is set to score 100 for a win, then that is championship over. You cannot afford to get into hot water like that, especially when the sister car of Anindit Reddy is going to be the only driver in that car that will score any championship points. It looks like it's game, set and match for Godspeed Kochi right now.
Not just first, but first and third. But let's put a spanner in the works. If something were to happen to the Kochi cars, the Goa Aces as well are sitting in prime position.
And it has already happened to both of them, don't forget, because both the Godspeed Kochi cars have hit trouble over the course of the day. Fabien Volvend lost the belt in race 1, and whatever happened on the original start, Nikhil Bora, the car came to a spluttering halt before we red flagged this race. So the safety car lights are out because Akhil Rabindra has been able to get going again fairly quickly. And look at Nikhil Bora, he's backing the field up. He does not want anybody to have even a whiff of the fight for the victory as he backs Kevin Miroka into his teammate Ruhan Alva.
According to his teammate Alistair Young, Nikhil Bora is the quickest driver out there. And now he gets going. Now they get going as well. That's a rapid start. After the formation lap, after being under the safety car, Nikhil Bora with a clean getaway.
So we are under green flag conditions, and that's the Bangalore Speedsters car pulling off in the distance. Rishon Rajiv. The car is not going any further by the look of it. So Bianca Bustamante will be in the same boat as Oliver Webb. She will not get a single racing lap on the streets of Hyderabad. What a shame.
It is a real shame, but out of the front, Ruhan Alva making a dart around the outside. Oh, Kevin Miroka under threat, holds the inside line and holds on to second place for now.
Ruhan Alva really trying every trick in the book. And look at John Lancaster in 4th place for the Chennai Turbo Riders. They have spotted an opportunity here. Lancaster's in 4th, Habada's in 5th, and they've suddenly got 2 working yellow and blue cars when their rivals, Bangalore Speedsters and Speed Demons Delhi, haven't even got one between them.
The Chennai Turbo Riders will be loving this. They got a podium in Chennai at the Madras International Circuit. They would love a podium on the streets of Hyderabad. And it's not going to come easy because out in front, oh, Kevin Miroka with a mistake. Does that open the door for Ruhan Alva? Not quite.
Yeah,
not quite.
He just about had to bail out of that one into Passport. There was a very near miss. And now Alva just biding his time, waiting for his moment on Kevin Miroka. As the track dries out, Ruhan Alva and John Lancaster are going to be all over the back of Kevin Miroka. And look, Miroka's having to defend big time from Alva. This is great news for Bora up front. But here comes Lancaster. He now has a run off the final corner, up the inside of Ruhan Alva. Alva trying to squeeze. Lancaster to the wall. No, you don't, says John Lancaster. He's through. 3rd position. This is mine.
3-car wide into that straight and into that right-hander. Flowing corner, but Ruhan Alva misses out because he was actually moving for 2nd, and instead he slips down to 4th, and John Lancaster now on the charge to get past Kevin Miroka.
Now watch how it's done, Ruhan, says John Lancaster. I'm going to take on Kevin Miroka. I'm going to get into 2nd place. This is how you should have done it. Lancaster's going to be patient here behind the Goa Races number 7. He's got plenty of time. He doesn't have to worry too much about different things over the course of proceedings. He's just got to bide his time, pick his moment. Up around Matcha-Tree, let's see how he did it. Side by side, kicks his way through on the first corner. That's brave from John Lancaster. You're flat on the throttle through that first apex. And as a result, look, Ruhan Alva actually had to get off the throttle.
Yeah, there was actually contact, I thought, between Ruhan Alva and Kevin Miroka, and actually backed him up into John Lancaster. Now he's caught the back of John Lancaster again. I think the slowest of this trio is Kevin Miroka. He's not really as quick as he was in the wet, and he's being backed up into John Lancaster. It gives Ruhan Alva an opening yet again, and we know Ruhan loves a good move down the inside. That will come at some stage if it stays this way.
Now here's an interesting factor for the rest of this race, Earl. At the start of this race, they declared it a wet race, which means they had to run on wet tyres. But the track is drying out rapidly, so they've got to finish this race on wet tyres on a drying track. So anything could still happen here.
And anything could mean endless possibilities for the likes of the Goa Aces, for even the likes of the Chennai Turbo Riders, who haven't really had the best run coming into this weekend. John Lancaster, I think, is going to be the danger man towards the back end of this first half of the race. Remember, we still will have the mandatory pit stop, the driver swap as well. The cars have to be stationary in the pits for 3 minutes for the driver swap. And Jake, we've seen teams come out on another setup after, because if a team pits on a different lap, you can put in a couple of quick laps.
Oh, that's Akhil Rabindra. Rabindra has pulled the car into the pits to retire, and I'm afraid that is the Hyderabad Blackbird season pretty much done and dusted. Behind these three, and Indith Reddy is doing everything he can in 5th place to uphold the honour, but he's the only driver in the Hyderabad Blackbirds that's going to score any points now, because poor Tom Canning is not going to get his run in the number 9. Akhil Rabindra pulling it into the pits to retire. So it looks as though the title is going to go the way of Godspeed Flashy. Or is it? Because the Goa Races pair are still out there. They could steal a fast one.
Yeah, Amir Syed in 6th. You've got Kevin Miroka in 2nd. Nice for Anindit Reddy, though, that he's got going, because he is the local boy here in Hyderabad. He's got a lot of support, lots of friends and family watching on live. And it's not often that they get the opportunity to watch their family members racing in India, especially in cars like these, around the streets of any city whatsoever. Or sizing him up, John Lancaster. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, this is what Lancaster's good at. He is a great intimidator. He's going to put Morocco under massive pressure. Both drivers have single-seater experience. Both have decent top-level sports car experience too. So Morocco versus Lancaster, this is a great duel. And all John Lancaster has to do is intimidate Kevin Morocco enough so that Morocco is the one that makes the mistake. They go through the giant wheel chicane, up and over the curbs. A bit of a mistake there from Lancaster. He misses the apex of the corner, gets it square, out of Passport, down the straight, up towards the Cinema chicane. And this is where things are going to be very treacherous indeed, because Ruhan Alva is closing up on them as well. Behind them, you've got an Indith Reddy now P5. Amir Syed for Goa Races is P6. And Nicole Haverda is there in P7. There are no other drivers running this race. So it all comes down to who survives.
And Ruhan Alva has been biding his time. He dropped back for a couple of laps, maybe even cooled off a little bit. Held his tires back. Now looking for a move down the inside. Not quite. He's in the slipstream though. And Ruhan Alva is going to have a look, you would think. Not quite close enough on that occasion. Holds the inside line.
Yeah, that's well parked by John Lancaster. Alva having to go the long way round, and that's already failed twice. So he didn't want to commit to it a third time. Otherwise he would have lost ground. So now Lancaster moves to cover and holds off Ruhan Alva. But now he's got Kevin Morocco to deal with up front. 3 different teams gunning for 2nd place. Nicol Bora just keeping it together, but the sun has come out. The track is not really showing any puddles. This could go a long, long way, and it could be any of them that gets the win.
Nice to see the smiles of the Chennai Turbo Riders owners as well, because they know there's an opportunity with John Lancaster sitting in 3rd to go all the way here and even get them 2nd, and then who knows? Again, almost. That's one of the corners where John Lancaster's thought about a move.
Oh, Lancaster's got a good run. Here he comes, and Ruhan Alva's got an opportunity as well. Now Lancaster going to go round the outside of Morocco. One of them's got to give. Morocco defends, and Ruhan Alva comes into the pits. Now, I think that is actually tactical. I think that's the earliest they could have pitted in for the driver change. So Ruhan Alva deciding then, I'm not going to get involved in this scrap, I'm not going to lose more time. We're going to jump them in the pit stop phase.
It might be a smart move from Ruhan Alva. The driver change will now come in, and with this, remember, it's 3 minutes stationary. Ruhan will get out of the car. Fabian Bolven will get in. She's had a really good run today as well. She should have had a podium by her own accord and had to retire from that race, but she did get a podium in the 2nd sprint race. She is very, very quick, and it's a tactical move to pit early, given that they were being held back by Kevin Morocco on track.
And I think it could be the right call, because obviously if Kevin Morocco continues to hold up John Lancaster, then those 2 cars are going to lose even more time. When Fabian Volven gets out, she could have a clear track in front of her.
Jake, hang on. I've just been told that the pit window was not open yet.
Oh, are you kidding? Oh, if they've mistimed it, if they have mistimed that pit stop, then that is going to give them a big penalty.
Well, there's 1 minute left before the pit window was open, and that could be a costly error. Remember, the race went from being 35 minutes down to 30. So I wonder whether they miscalculated that, and that is a massive miscalculation if that is the case, because it then means all the onus is now only on Nicol Bora, and it brings the Goa Aces into contention. It brings even the Hyderabad Blackbirds with Anindit in 4th still into contention. That could be disastrous, catastrophic for Ruhan Alba and Godspeed Kochi.
Well, in the pit stops, you lose about 2.5 to 3 laps based on the fact that you're in there for 3 minutes. So it's obviously going to cost you a fair bit. 2 laps, pretty much, to be honest. But every team will get that 2-lap penalty by pitting, so it's going to be fascinating.
Pit window is now open.
Oh,
the pit window is now open.
Oh,
so
dear.
you could see drivers come in now for swaps, but it was too early from Ruhan Alba.
Where's Kevin Morocco gone? Lancaster's not only got through, but Kevin Morocco is missing. So we need to see what's happened, but Kevin Morocco has disappeared from our screens. Nikhil Bora is leading. John Lancaster is there in second. Look, there he is for the Chennai Turbo Riders. Where's Kevin Morocco? There he is. There he is. So he's fallen back. He has fallen back quite a considerable margin. He's managed to get through John Lancaster. There is Lancaster, but then Kevin Morocco, he should be there in the background. Let's have a look. There's Lancaster. We'll need to look back in the distance behind him because I think that was Kevin Morocco. So I think he's dropped back to third.
We've got Amir Syed as well in that number 8 car, but we haven't spotted Morocco behind him. I just wonder how far back he slipped up. There is Amir Syed. He is behind Anindit Reddy, catching Anindit Reddy, the local lad. But they might just get into the pits. There he is, Kevin Morocco, finally.
Yeah, he is in third position. Lancaster got past him, but Morocco dropped back quite a considerable way from the Chennai Turbo Riders. Oh, he washed out through turn 1 there. Flew off the road. Thank goodness there's runoff at the first corner because that could have been very nasty indeed. Kevin Morocco. And this is the problem that they have. In the wet, they can drive around the deficiencies of the car. In the dry, it's a real handful.
So here's the first swap. Amir Syed gets out of the car for the Goa Aces. Sohail Shah steps in. Sohail had a podium earlier in one of the sprint races. Very complete driver. You talk to a lot of the young guys on the grid and they'll all say, put Sohail Shah in any car, any machinery, he'll get the job done in any discipline. Put him in a kart, put him in a single-seater, put him in a prototype. He's a very complete driver, and Sohail Shah will be eager to get this race going and push forward.
21 years of age, a big future in front of him, Sohail Shah, and definitely captaining the Goa Aces to a potential third place in the championship. Well, technically, if the race keeps going for them, they could even bag second or even first.
Yeah, this is not done. This is not done by any means. Under 16 minutes to go, and the Chennai Turbo Riders waiting is in the wings as well. Sandeep Kumar, he will swap hands with John Lancaster.
And also coming into the pits is going to be Nicole Haverda, the Canadian, and she will hand over to Parth Gopadi. And that's going to be a fascinating duel for Chennai Turbo Riders. Through past the pits then goes Nicole Haverda, the Canadian, 16 years of age, the youngest driver in the field, and doing a fair job actually. She popped up with a top 6 finish in race 1, and here she is in P5 right now.
Jake, I just wonder whether for some teams, if they've got a second car on track, to keep the second car on a longer run, because if there is a safety car at some stage, it gives you a free stop, and we saw what that did in Chennai. So if you've got 2 cars on track, maybe keep someone like a Nicole Haverda on track for a longer run before the swap comes in, and just take that punt. It might work in your direction.
Well, I know that was the original plan A for a couple of the teams, was to go as far into the race as possible in the hope that there was going to be a safety car, and it just hasn't happened at the right time. We've had a safety car, but it came before the pit stop window opened.
Yeah, I would have expected that from Godspeed Kochi. Keep Nikhil on a simple strategy with Alistair Young. I think they're both even Stevens in terms of driving capabilities as well, and maybe they could have just kept one other car out for much longer. The second car, that is of Ruhan Alba and Fabian. But I was a bit surprised to see Ruhan Alba therefore dart into the pits when he did. It was a real gamble given how close to the pit window it anyway was.
Well, the big question is going to be, was that a Godspeed Kochi decision, or was that a Ruhan Alba decision? Was he just getting a little bit frustrated, being boxed in behind Morocco and Lancaster, just decided, enough of this, I'm just going to bite the bullet?
Well, unless he had a stopwatch on his wrist and looking at it every second, I think that was a bad call if it was an individual call. Here are the Chennai Turbo Riders. It is Nicole Haverda who's decided to stop.
So that was good tactics from Nicole. She drove very well in that first period of the race, and that's the last racing lap you'll see from her in the Indian Racing League. And what a performance it's been from the 16-year-old to come all the way from the United States of America, the youngest driver in the field. And to be fair, when you look at a lot of the drivers here, there's very few opportunities you can look back in this season and say she made a mistake. I can't recall one.
No, she hasn't made too many at all, and you know, she's come across with her dad. She's enjoyed being in India. What an experience it's been for Nicole Haverda as well, and she's done a great job. Sohail Shah is now on track. That is the swap. Sohail Shah has swapped in for Amir Syed, so he'll take to the track for the Goa Aces. And at the moment, Nikhil still out in front. They've got the advantage, Godspeed Kochi. They'll just want to keep their noses clean for the rest of the race. And I think in that sense, that'll hand the title to them if it stays this way, given that the nearest threat, that is from the Blackbirds, is Anindit Reddy, and he's in fourth.
Well, the Chennai Turbo Riders are looking for a very solid result. They're currently in second and fifth as Parth Gopade has taken over car number 5. And it's going to be fascinating for them because their two main rivals in the championship fight, the Bangalore Speedsters and the Speed Demons Delhi, do not have a car running in this race. Both teams are out, along with Akhil Rabindra for the Hyderabad Blackbirds. It's a real shame for the home team. They had a real chance to win this title. They were so strong in the first 2 racing weekends in Chennai. But here on home turf, oh, is that a problem for Sohail Shah? I thought for a moment there something was going wrong on the car. He's just about caught it together.
Yeah, the other thing for all of you at home to keep in mind is that you will see the field spread out now because they've all made driver swaps. It's a 3-minute swap, and it does therefore play into the track conditions. You'll start to see them come out at different times, and towards the back end of the race you'll start to see some big maneuvers come back. So this period of the race is about assessing strategies. It's about assessing who can put in some big laps, and if you've got clean air like this, like Sohail Shah does, it is about putting pedal to the metal, getting your foot down and putting some really good laps in and trying to pin down on the gap that maybe wasn't there on track.
So now the big pressure in the race is actually going to come on the shoulders of Fabienne Volvend, because she now obviously has to try and drag that car as high as possible, having what we think pitted outside the pit window. So they're going to get a penalty for that if that's the case, but they've also got to try and make back the time. As into the pits comes Nikhil Bora, having driven a brilliant opening stint, and he will hand the car over to Alistair Young, and they are on course to win this title.
Kevin Miroka also coming in, and he will hand over the car to Gabriela, and she's had a good run so far as well. Gabriela Yilkova had a podium earlier today, a double podium in fact, when Kevin Miroka doubled up for them in the second sprint race. We are just past the halfway mark of the pit window. We've got 11 minutes to go in this race, and John Lancaster out in front, still the man who has not pitted.
I've got to keep coming back to this. It is a nightmare out there for the drivers because they're on wet tyres. They had to start the race on wets because the race was declared a wet race. But the track is almost bone dry now. So grip is absolutely nothing out there on the course.
And you look down that lineup in the leaderboard, John and Anindit, the only two drivers who haven't pitted yet. And you wonder whether that's going to play into their hands or go against them towards the back end of this race. 10.5 minutes to go. Still time left in that pit window. Anindit has to still pit, even though he's the only driver, and Lola will not drive today given that she's out ill and staying at the hotel. Anindit Reddy will still have to pit, still have to stop there for 3 minutes and then get going. There he is now.
Yeah, he couldn't wait any longer. I think he was waiting for the safety car period. He's like, do I have to get out of the car? No, you may as well just stay in, because the only way we would get anything sorted there is if we had to drive a change, and we don't have to drive a change. Now, one thing I did spot, though, is that they're changing tyre pressures. They're going to have to.
Yeah, he had to look at his team manager, Arjun Narendran, and just to check whether he needed to get out of the car or stay in there, because we've seen the driver swaps. Obviously, the seat has to be changed as well. In Anindit's case, it's obviously his own seat. He stays there.
Oh, Suraj Shah's coming back in. Now, they've already had a pit stop, and that sounds very unwell indeed at the Goa Races number 8.
He's just driven past us underneath here, and that did not sound great for Sohail Shah. He was running really well.
And there's Lancaster. Lancaster from the lead.
So that's a routine pit stop. Lancaster from the lead has come in. That's a routine driver swap. But for Sohail Shah, seems like a mechanical issue. He steps out of the car, and that is not good news for that side. Sandeep will step in for John Lancaster. Sandeep Kumar.
Wow, fascinating stuff. Sandeep Kumar then will take over number 6. But it does look as though the Goa ace is number 8, captained by Amir Sayed, and Sohail Shah appears to be out of this race, and that drops the field to 6. So big problems there. We're waiting in the background to see when Alistair Young can head back out onto the circuit, because obviously they have to stay in for a mandatory 3 minutes on the pit lane, because the minimum that the pit stop can be is 3 minutes in length. But leaving it to the last possible minute then, John Lancaster, to hand the car over to Sandeep Kumar.
Now remember what happened with Sandeep Kumar last time around in Chennai. He came under immense pressure early from Neil Jani and made an error. So this is an opportunity for redemption for someone like Sandeep Kumar as well. He's been around in the national championships for a long time. He's won the national championship as well. So for someone like Sandeep Kumar, this is an opportunity to get the Chennai Turbo riders a nice podium on the streets of Hyderabad.
And he's one of the coolest and calmest men I've ever seen in racing. He's just so chilled, so laid back. Now look at this, we've got Alistair Young and Fabien Volvend together out on the racetrack. They are absolutely nose to tail. Now that is a fascinating observation, and that's one heck of an achievement, because that's Fabien Volvend having made up a massive amount of time. They're on the same lap, and they are now battling for what is effectively the race lead.
Jake, the only thing for me is about what they do with the fact that the pit window was not open when they came in.
Yeah,
so I just wonder whether Fabien will actually be let past, and in case she's a lap down, then she'll have to just go for it and go around again. I wonder what the officials will say, given that Ruhan Alva stopped a minute early before the pit window was open.
Yeah,
so that's the only point of contention here.
We've had that problem before, and the drivers were given a 20-second penalty as a result of that. So there might be a tactical game plan here to let Fabien Volvend through, go out into the lead, and then Alistair Young would essentially protect Fabien Volvend so that the team can bag a 1-2 finish. Either that, or they're just running in formation whatever happens. They're just going to go for the cruise home to snatch the title away. They're certainly in pole position to steal the Indian Racing League from the chests of the Hyderabad Blackbirds.
Well, I think essentially we'll get a decision on that post-race, and for Fabien, all she's got to do is worry about what she can do on track, which is keep her head down, drive a good race, pull off as much time as she can, because if she does so, if she gets, say, a minute's penalty, or if it's 10 seconds or whatever it might be from the stewards after the race, she's just got to think about doing the best job on track. And that's all that can be in her control at the moment. For me, it's still a strange decision from Ruhan Alva if he took it on his own to come in. But for Alistair Young, it's an opportunity to not just win here, but to back it up from what he did in the sprint race. A win in the sprint, a win in Chennai, and a win in the feature to give Godspeed Kochi the title would be unbelievable for the young man who came into this series late.
Young and Volvend are just shadowing their every move. Second and third position for the two Godspeed Kochi cars. And Sandeep Kumar will take over the number 6 car. We're watching Parth Gobadi in the second of the Chennai Turbo Riders cars, who is out behind Anindit Reddy and Gabriela Yilkova. So Parth Gobadi running currently in 6th position. Sohail Shah out of the race. So are Bianca Bustamante and Rishon Rajiv. And then obviously neither of the Speed Demons Delhi cars really made the move out there on the grid, although Mitch Gilbert started the race from the pits and didn't finish it. Anshul Gandhi, Shahan Ali Mohsin and Akhil Rabindra also out of the race.
For Parth Ghodpade, it's an opportunity as well, Jake, because he's not had results go his way in this entire series. He's done a lot of racing, including European Le Mans, and he's someone who has proved his potential outside of India. He's done multiple racing series, driven prototypes as well, but the results in the Indian Racing League just haven't come his way. So he'd want to just get there to the end and deliver a strong result for Chennai. This is Sandeep Kumar, his teammate, who is our actual leader of the race.
Now, have they actually jumped? Have they jumped the two leaders for Godspeed Kochi? That's an interesting one, because if they have, they've done so by quite a much. Yes, they have. So that's amazing. John Lancaster, by staying out, has actually leapfrogged past both of the Godspeed Kochi cars. They're going to come second and third at this rate. It looks like the Chennai Turbo Riders could pick up their first win of the season.
I think that was a brilliant call from John Lancaster and the management of the Chennai Turbo Riders to keep him out longer while the track was completely empty and clean. John Lancaster has pounded out some good laps, and it means that after the pit window and after the driver swap, he's come out in front, Sandeep Kumar, out in front of Alistair and Fabien Volvend. So that is a masterstroke from the Chennai Turbo Riders. And with 4 minutes on the clock, Sandeep Kumar just needs to keep his head cool, keep his nose clean, and get there to the finish line and give them the win.
It's pure genius. What it means, though, of course, is that the team from Hyderabad Blackbirds are only going to score 20 points here in this race. And if it finishes like this, the team from Godspeed Kochi are going to come through with a massive 136 points. They will obliterate this championship and win it going away.
And again, it only begs the question, will they serve a penalty post-race for the car of Ruhan Alva and Fabien? In that case, even if it's a worst case, Jake, and it's only Alistair that scores points. I'm going to do my mathematics though. I just think it's still going to be enough.
Yeah, they'll still win the championship because obviously if they finish in second, the number 2 car, they'll score 72 points compared to an India 3 on 20, and the gap is 23.5. You don't need to do the math for long to figure out that if second place is all that the number 2 car can get, it will still be enough to be champions. But what a nice end to the season it could be if the Chennai Turbo Riders man Sandeep Kumar guides him and the birthday boy John Lancaster to the victory in the final race of the year. That would be lovely.
It would be fantastic. I think it's a big moment for young Sandeep Kumar as well. He's been around racing in India for a really long time. He's given crowds across Chennai and Coimbatore lots of results in the past, but to do it on the streets of Hyderabad in the first ever feature race here and as a teammate to John Lancaster, that would be a massive moment in his young career.
So 2 minutes and 20 plus the additional lap still left on the clock. And we have to talk about this in the sense of how brilliant a weekend this has been with the Hyderabad street circuit, designed by Ben Wilshire and the Driven International squad. An amazing racetrack. This is going to be the venue for Formula E in February. They're going to come here to race on this very race circuit, where I'm sure you'll see a lot more of the Tollywood stars come out and play. It's going to be an amazing venue that will now cement its place, hopefully, as a permanent landmark in world motorsport.
The one thing I will say, guys, is that Nikhil Bora and Rohan Alva are pounding out the big laps. Last lap alone, they pulled off 1.5 seconds on Sandeep Kumar. So that's going to be one to watch. 1.5 seconds on the last lap alone. And the difference is 10 seconds from Sandeep Kumar to Nikhil Bora. So if that keeps going with a minute and a half to go, it still won't be enough. But they are catching him rapidly.
I'm very impressed indeed that John Lancaster was able to pull out as much of a gap as humanly possible. So that is absolutely fascinating. Now, the two Godspeed Kochi cars are trying to not just close in on Sandeep Kumar, but also stretch away from the number 7 car of Gabriela Yelkova, because if she does pick up a 20-second penalty, which I think is the penalty you take for getting into the pits too early, or pitting out the window is the more accurate description, then as long as they're 20 seconds ahead, they won't lose the podium. So we'll have to wait until post-race for the confirmation of all of that.
Well, right now, Jake, 20 seconds means she'll finish in 5th, because there's still only 6 seconds between them and 4th, and then about 3 seconds after, 2nd and 3rd at the moment for Nikhil Bora and Rohan Alva's teammate Fabian Volven on track. But we wonder if that's going to change later. Alistair Young actually at the hands of the wheel there. But let's just see how far back they are. If he gets to the line before... Oh, there you go. They're in sights now.
Oh, my goodness.
They're in sights. Now, last lap alone, 2 seconds, 2.1 seconds, in fact, was what they made on Sandeep Kumar.
This is not done. All they've got to do is get within sight of Sandeep Kumar and intimidate him on the last lap. And the time is now 3, 2, 1, done. So now it's this remaining part of the lap and 1 lap to go, and they're on wet tyres on a drying track with the pressures quantifiable but maybe not ideal. Sandeep Kumar has got to keep this together. Will he crack under the pressure, or will he bring it home?
Now Sandeep Kumar, the last lap alone, did a 120.2. Nikhil Bora's teammate Alistair Young did a 17.9. Fabian did an 18.1. They are matching each other. There you go. All at the end of that straight. There will be 1 lap left when he crosses the finish line in just a moment. Is that enough? Have they done just about enough, courtesy John Lancaster's pace?
It looks like the penalty has now been applied to Fabian Volven mid-race, so she will actually drop to P6 if it stays like this. That is very unfortunate, but that still means that the Godspeed Kochi car number 1 is going to score a grand total of 32 points, which is the gap deficit plus a few more to Hyderabad Blackbirds. So even though they'll drop back, and it's currently at 4th position at the moment, although it could drop back to 6th again by the time Reddy and Pargobadi cross the line, they'll still get the title.
Jake, the gap was down to 5 seconds alone at the start of this lap. You can see them now at the end of the straight. It's down to about 3.5 seconds. They are catching rapidly. Rohan Alva, he is the man who actually handed over the car to Gabriela, or rather to Fabienne, but it's Alistair Young who is hunting him down.
What a nail-biter to the finish. Sandeep Kumar trying to hang on to this victory. Alistair Young and Fabian Volven throwing everything they can at him in the hope that Kumar's going to make the mistake but through Giant Wheel and through Passport, no mistakes come for Sandeep Kumar. He may not be as quick as the two cars in front, but he's got a comfortable enough cushion down to the cinema chicane. Look how close Alistair Young's got. He's just got to balance it carefully through the right, through the left, and then into the final turn. And Chennai Turbo Riders are finally going to get their first win of Indian Racing League 2022. It's the Chennai Turbo Riders. Sandeep Kumar gets it, waved home by Ramcharan. What an amazing result for Sandeep Kumar and John Lancaster. But the champions are Godspeed Kochi.
That is an outstanding race. John Lancaster setting it up for the Chennai Turbo Riders. Sandeep Kumar bringing it home, and it's a win for the Chennai Turbo Riders on the streets of Hyderabad. But for Godspeed Kochi, inaugural champions of the Indian Racing League, that is outstanding. Alistair Young and that entire setup, Nikhil Bora and everyone else. But what a moment for the Chennai Turbo Riders.
John Lancaster picks up his first win in sprint racing for quite some time. Absolutely terrific run there. Great stuff, and it's a brilliant performance from the Chennai Turbo Riders. Nicole Havana, part of the winning team, of course, in the sister car, and they are so happy. What a way to end the year for the Chennai Turbo Riders. However, they are not the champions in the league, and that is the Godspeed Kochi team for the group in car number 2. Alistair Young and Nikhil Bora, they fought valiantly, and that second place finish makes them the champions after all.
And what a drive it's been as well for the Godspeed Kochi team. Ruhan Alva, Fabian Bolven, Alistair Young, Nikhil Bora, all of them doing a tremendous job. But what a moment for Sandeep Kumar. I've watched him ever since he was a young teenager karting, and to come here in the IRL and get a win, that means so much. And that is Alistair Young, who will be part of the champion team of the IRL, the inaugural champions. He has had a tremendous season, a season to remember.
So the scenes are going to be absolutely euphoric down here in pit road. I can tell you that Fabian Bolven's penalty drops her to P6, and that promotes the Goa Aces pairing for their third consecutive podium in a row. Gabriele Ilkova and Kevin Barocca. I love that. Sandeep Kumar said, "Did I win?" Yes, of course you did, mate. You drove like a legend.
Well done, Sandeep Kumar. One more lap maybe was what they needed to hunt him down. That is the moment you want to see in a team sport like the IRL. Normally not the case in motorsport. And this is another brilliant moment. He's got tears, surely. Tears of joy.
They thought, they came in with big gusto and big determination here, the two boys at Godspeed Kochi. We might just be able to catch them. We might just be able to overturn this. I don't think they were even prepared for the emotions that were going to hit them once they actually did it. Here is Alistair Young getting out of the car. Look at it, he can't believe it. Godspeed Kochi have done the unthinkable. After Chennai, you would never have given Godspeed Kochi the title in a billion years. They've turned it around in phenomenal fashion. Godspeed Kochi are the champions.
And this is the man who actually took them there as well. A lot of credit goes to Alistair Young. In his first race, he pretty much got there overnight. Didn't have a single lap in this car and gave them a win on his debut.
Look, he's crying his eyes out.
Tears of joy, absolute tears of joy, and deservedly so. For Alistair Young and Nikhil Bora, that driver pairing has been unstoppable in the Indian Racing League. And what a moment for this young man. I think it's a moment, Jake, that will give his career and a future in motorsport such a big lift. The confidence he gets from this performance.
For a man who's had so much bad luck over the last few years, Alistair Young and Nikhil Bora have done the unthinkable, and he is so drained, so exhausted. Chennai Turbo Riders may have won the race, but the championship goes the way of the Hyderabad. They're not consoled. They are devastated that they've lost the win by the look of it.
I'm just wondering what's going on here, because if
surely they should be partying. By our math, they've won the title. Well, this may not be over yet, folks. There may be more to this story than meets the eye. But for Chennai Turbo Riders, there can be no doubt. They are winners, and they are dancing in the mist.
What a moment for the Chennai Turbo Riders. All of them that have been involved, they haven't had too many moments to smile about. They had a podium in Chennai that lifted their spirits. But this is the moment of the season for this team. Sandeep Kumar from Chennai, local Chennai lad, alongside John Lancaster from Europe, who's raced around the world. What a job they've done, but that is the moment to focus on. What a moment for this amazing setup.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job. John Lancaster put in the hard work in the opening stint, and Sandeep Kumar kept the car on the road during the big moments there. So we're going to have to figure out with Sukhmani Sadana and Zexis Vadia the emotions down there in pit road. Look at Alistair Young. He looks as though he's been punched in the gut. By our math, they've taken the title away from Hyderabad Blackbirds, but we'll have to figure out what the situation is down there, because this is not particularly clear-cut. There's the winning moment, though. The checkered flag comes out, waved by Ram Charan, the Tollywood superstar, and it is Sandeep Kumar that takes the win away from Alistair Young and Fabien Volvend. But Godspeed Kochi, finishing second, by my math, have won this title, but they don't seem to think so.
No, they don't seem to think so, and we'll come back to that as well, because at the moment, what we can confirm, it's John Lancaster, Sandeep Kumar who win it, Nikhil Bora and Alistair in second, and Kevin Miroka and Gabby in third. But we'll take a short breather. On the other side, we'll have the podium, we'll have confirmation of our race winners as well, and plenty more. Stick around, we'll come right back.
Oh my goodness. That is how you watch a race. That is such an incredible drive for the Chennai Turbo Riders. Wow, ladies and gentlemen. Suhail, this is how you just end the season. Sandeep Kumar and John Lancaster finally getting a big win. And how?
Yeah, I think Sandeep Kumar was being hunted down at the end by Alistair Young, but incredible. I think very, very happy for the Chennai Turbo Riders. They've waited a long time. They had a podium in Chennai, but I think a lot of the work, the hard work, actually, the hard yards were done by John Lancaster. He gave them such a big lead that actually when Sandeep Kumar came out on track, he had a pretty simple job. He was being picked off very quickly, and by the end of it, he could see Alistair Young in his mirrors and Fabian Bolven too, but just holding on, did just enough, and it puts the smiles on the men and women in yellow, and it's a brilliant result because I know how much that team has wanted it. I was talking to the owners yesterday, and they couldn't wait to get a win under their belt, and to do it in this style, brilliant for them. And for Nikhil Bora, I'm just wondering what's going through his head, because by our calculations, they should be champions, but we're just waiting to get confirmation of it.
Yeah, there you see Nikhil Bora and Alistair Young, the team that could very well be crowned the champions. But let's wait and see. Official confirmation should come soon on that. But let's also talk about their race, Suhail, because even if they are not champions, unlikely, yes, but they drove like champions. And sure, it took a major performance from Chennai Turbo Riders to usurp them.
Well, they drove like champions all through the weekend. You look at the two sprint races, Nikhil Bora outstanding, lights to flag win. Alistair Young again lights to flag win. And even though they got undone by the stop and the driver swap, and they didn't quite get their strategy pinned down, to me, these two young lads were the driver pairing of the entire league. Both matching each other for pace. Nikhil Bora is one of those bright young men who I think has a huge future in motorsport, and he's put in some big laps. Whenever they needed some tidy laps to come in, some quick laps to come in, Nikhil Bora was out there gunning it. Even towards the back end of this race, Alistair Young did the same when he was chasing down Sandeep Kumar. So that to me is the most complete driver pairing, and I think they were sensational.
And how amazing is it that the most complete driver pairing of this entire championship had an average age of 18? If you put the average age into mind, they can barely just drive a car on the road.
Yeah, and then you've got the other side of it, where you've got Gabby and Kevin Miroka, who are much older, on the other side of 30. So that's what the league is about. You've got the experienced campaigners rubbing shoulders with some of the most impressive young Indian drivers as well. And to get someone like Gabriela Yilkova pick up 3 podiums in a single day at the IRL, really impressive showing from her as well. And Kevin Miroka, who seemed to finally get to grips with his car and feel comfortable, as we get a glimpse of Akhil Rabindra as well. Tough outing for him, because for the Blackbirds Hyderabad side, they would have wanted to come away as champions, but unfortunately Akhil Rabindra didn't feature too much in the race.
Okay, here we go then. We're getting some confirmation that, folks, Akhil Rabindra is the provisional drivers champion. Now, this doesn't mean the overall team's championship. We're getting confirmation on that. But this means
that makes sense to me, because obviously Alistair Young came in a little late.
Exactly.
He came into the series late, and even though we've seen dominance from Alistair ever since he's come in, Akhil Rabindra and Neil Jani were prolific on that first weekend as well. And I think he was outstanding to watch. So I think for me, Akhil Rabindra deservedly might actually get it.
Indeed, yeah. And now, folks, it's time for the podium, time for the moment of celebration and joy. They'll be happening in a little bit of time. But I want to talk about Akhil Rabindra for a second. In fact, it's amazing, right? He's one of the best Indian drivers abroad. He's raced in GT4 academies. And I love the fact that he's learned from Neil Jani over the week. He's taken out so many learnings and applied to his racing.
He has, and whenever you saw them sitting together, there's so many questions from Akhil Rabindra to Neil Jani. Neil, someone that's won Le Mans. He's been around a long time, knowing what to expect. But these are the moments to savor. Podium celebrations. Kevin Miroka and Gabby, who've been superb. Gabriela Yilkova and Kevin Miroka, 3 podiums on a single day. That's always going to put a smile on your face. But also to that pairing in second spot, Alistair Young and Nikhil Bora, both rapid young drivers with massive futures for them. And then the beaming smiles you will see on John Lancaster's face and Sandeep Kumar. Sandeep held on for dear life. John Lancaster, perhaps the driver of the day, given what he did to put that car so far out ahead.
And also the composure of Sandeep Kumar to just get the car home at the very end, because throughout the laps you could see that Alistair and Nikhil, their car team was bigger and bigger and bigger, but Sandeep held on, and that is a great drive. There's this Hindi saying, which I'll roughly translate into English, which means even though it comes late, it's better that it's come arrive.
Absolutely. Third place to Kevin Miroka and Gabriela Yilkova. Huge smiles for them, because that is their 3rd podium of the day. A podium in the first sprint, a podium for Kevin Miroka after, and also one now for them in the feature. Naga Chaitanya handing out the trophies to the 2nd place team. You've got Alistair Young from Malaysia and Nikhil Bora, one of the more impressive young Indians to watch out for, and wait for it, in Kaba winners.
Oh yes, John Lancaster and Sandeep Kumar for the Chennai Turbo Riders. The trophy's coming, wait for it, and There we are.
And you know, for the Chennai Turbo Riders, one of those teams that have put their heart and soul into this season, John says, go first, Sandeep, you deserve it. You got our car over the line, and that's what mattered. Lovely gesture from John as well. He knows how much this moment would mean to Sandeep Kumar. Sandeep's been around the national circuit a long time, and John's had a few trophies around the world, so he wouldn't mind giving Sandeep first dibs on this one. But a brilliant moment for both those drivers. I think even to someone like John Lancaster, for someone who's driven European Le Mans and done a bunch of other series around the world, this trophy will hold a high place in his trophy cabinet as well.
And then, of course, we also have the team's trophy for the Chennai Turbo Riders for winning this final feature race. And I want, folks, for you to focus on the overall podium. Take a look at it. The top two, super experienced. The top team, I think that is Team 1, Chennai Turbo Riders. In the second place, you've got a bunch of youngsters. In third, then you have all the experienced drivers. I love this mix, Sohail. This is the legacy of the Indian Racing League. Experience and youth all coming together just to get better drivers all the way through.
That's what it's got to be about. I think that's what we've wanted from the IRL, and that's what the IRL has delivered in its first season. Overall, I think if you look at the mix of drivers for Kochi, you've got only Fabian Gulben with a bit of experience, but otherwise, Alistair Jung, you've got Ruhan Alva and Nikhil Bora. Absolute youngsters, but they are rapid, and we've got confirmation that it is Godspeed Kochi who are the champions of the Indian Racing League in 2022. They are the team champions, and I think that's a wonderful moment for them. They are the deserved champions. They've done a tremendous job overall, and Akhil Rabindra pips Neil Jani to the driver's title. So a nice moment for him as well as we look at the celebrations continuing. But for the Hyderabad side to be in Hyderabad and get their driver on the top step of the podium for the driver's title, I think that's kind of justice as well.
Indeed it is, but Godspeed Kochi, ladies and gentlemen. Just look at this driver lineup. Nikhil Bora, 17. Alistair Jung, 19. You've got Ruhan Alva, 17. I don't know Fabian's exact age, but she's, of course, a more experienced racing driver. It's this perfect blend of youth and experience, and they, Sohail, are the inaugural IRL champions. Wow, this feels amazing. This is the whole premise of the IRL. We promote younger drivers, and bingo, there we have it.
No, and they delivered. They delivered whenever they've been asked of it. I think Nikhil Bora, to me, is the most impressive of them. Sohail Shah for the Goa Aces, also really impressive. But I think they've also learned from Fabienne. Fabienne's raced around the world, and she brings a wealth of experience in. Lovely moments. They will now enjoy the champagne one last time. They don't need to keep it for later. They don't need to worry about their race suits getting wet in a sprint race. They can head to the hotel. Kevin Miroka, come on, Kevin. You've done this before. There you go.
Amazing to see the celebrations for Kevin Miroka, who's actually come in so late in the championship. And in this round, they've got 3 podiums themselves. It's a hat-trick ride for them. Every single race, the Goa Aces crew have been on the podium. And although they didn't have the luck on their side at the start, that is how they've redeemed themselves. Yeah. So many beautiful stories from the IRL, Suhail. This is what it's all about.
I was just looking down at the stats as well. Obviously, a win for Godspeed Kochi. They pick up 417.5 points. And in the end, it was a huge win because it's 385 for the Blackbirds Hyderabad. Wow. And to me, that is annihilation on the final weekend. You come into a weekend where you're trailing by 50 plus points, and you come away with a win which almost has the same number of points out in front. And that tells you what Godspeed Kochi have been able to pull off with the confidence that they had is something quite special. And that's what we're now going to be seeing is a confirmation of the driver's title. First up, Alistair Jung in third spot. Brilliant series for him. One I think that he'll draw a lot of confidence from. And no doubt he's got a big future ahead. The son of Alex Jung.
And a last-minute substitute, by the way. The first race that he had at the IRL, he only got 3 hours of sleep and he landed in India just that morning at 3 o'clock. That's how good he's been. And your driver champion, Akhil Rabindra, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a reason number 2 is empty, and that is because it is Neil Jani, Akhil Rabindra's teammate, who finished second. So in second spot, Neil Jani, unfortunately not here this weekend. And there might be a member of the Blackbirds Hyderabad side that'll join us on the podium. But a big moment also for Akhil Rabindra, young Indian driver who is being crowned Drivers' Champion of the Indian Racing League, the inaugural edition. That is a massive moment for him.
Absolutely. He's raced GT4s in Europe. He's gone out there and established himself as one of the bigger names in the sports car scene. And he deserves the trophy for being the Drivers' Champion. But where's the trophy, Suhail?
I like the way he had one step on, 1 foot on the second step. Anandit Reddy joins him. And that's nice. Anandit also a core part of the Blackbirds Hyderabad side. And he joins Akhil Rabindra on the podium. obviously in place of Neil Jani. Neil Jani is the man who finished second in this championship. So there you go. It will be Anindit Reddy to collect the trophy on behalf of Neil Jani in second spot.
And that's a beautiful trophy, by the way. Totally well deserved by Neil Jani, who actually only was able to do 2 rounds, but still has got himself right up there. And I love this fact, right? Neil's been a mentor to so many drivers, one of them being Akhil, and now you can see the result. He is your new Drivers' Champion.
There it is. There is the moment. Akhil Rabindra, courtesy Akhilesh Reddy, being crowned champion of the Indian Racing League 2022. Glorious silverware in their hands. And it is a big moment for this young man. Akhil Rabindra, Drivers' Champion of the Indian Racing League.
What a season, what a year, what a moment this is. Folks, thank you so much for watching the RL. This has been amazing. We shall see you rather soon. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Step on the podium, step on the podium. Step on, Alistair, Alistair. Alistair, step on the podium, come to the center. We're waiting for champagne wait.
We've got a concert coming up for you at 6:30 p.m. Some very, very interesting musicians.
Come on, let's go!
You should head back for this. We've got a very fun evening planned for you. I hope you had a lot of fun right here at the Indian Racing League 2022. This is me, Thompson, signing out with Team Champions, Godspeed Coaching. Friendly reminder, this entire podium is going to become a musical stage and we've got some wonderful performances lined up ahead. So let the champagne showers get done. 6:30, the whole scene changes. You better be here. that nice? With that nice? Friendly reminder, this is not the concert we had planned for. The concert's at 6:30 p.m. This is the pre-show. Things are about to get a little messy. Do not hit each other with that. Rohan's so excited to bang the bottle. And they did it! Oh, God. Take a shower, guys. Take a shower. The champagne showers. Okay, now this show's over. We'll be back at 6:30 with the musical performances right after this.